just double check that it actually goes live over here, but we should be. Oh, okay. There he is. There's Spatt with the lead. All right, should be good. What's up, guys?
What's going on, bro?
Welcome to, I guess, this might be a series that I do where I catch up with people after each Collecticon who went and vended or at least experienced the event and see how it went. Especially since I won't be able to go to all of them, but it would be nice to get kind of everyone does their own stories. I know you guys talked about it last night on Box Nostalgia. I purposely skipped that part so that I wasn't spoiled for anything.
Good.
But I did watch the rest of the show. But both of you guys had your own unique experiences. I know you hung out a lot at the show as well. And I think it's the first show this year, right? The first Collecticon this year.
Yeah.
And the first one coming out, well, not coming out of, we're still in the midst of it, but the boom. The boom that's happening right now.
Badges are cool.
Oh, that's sick.
Badges here, cool. Yeah, they're definitely cool. Yeah,
nice.
We're growing up. We are growing up because
I think that's because the big 2025 is because of badge stealing, like people wearing last year's badges. Because I think 2023 and 2024 looked very similar. Like there were a lot.
So it was hard to spot people.
Yeah, there were a lot of people in New Jersey
coming in with old badges.
Like the old badges, and that's like a huge call out if it's got 2024 on it or 2025 on it.
So there'll probably be different colors for each one now too, I'd assume.
Yeah, like I would guess they're gonna have 2025 on every badge that big.
Okay. That would make sense.
That'd be my guess. That's my first thought when I saw them.
So I'll introduce you guys. We got Beerski, who's been on the channel multiple times. Box Nostalgia podcast. Beerski collects on YouTube. Has his own podcast as well with different guests and things that he brings on. Hopefully, you'll be starting that up again here soon. And he also streams for Shining Cards and Collectibles on Whatnot multiple days a week. Let them know what days so that they can go check you out.
Yeah, so I stream Sunday, Tuesday, but Tuesdays have not been very good for me. So we're skipping Tuesdays now. So we're probably gonna do Sunday, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Sunday. So we'll just keep doing that. Might pop an extra show in here and there. Trying to do some more nights and stuff. Just trying to find something sustainable because I'm eventually gonna have to go back to turning them wrenches. So I want to try and be able to try and stay streaming as much as I can and move some stuff to nights. So I'm just trying to figure all that out.
Got you.
You know, about a month and a half in of doing more streams, and it's still just figuring everything out, figuring out the market. Things do change, so it's been very interesting, learning a lot still, and I'll always say it: just keep learning. Like that's really what I'm trying to do. You know, I want to perfect it and try and make it as easy for me as possible. Yeah, so just trying to figure all that out, trying to figure out the good flow, what days are working still, because I mean, a Tuesday morning and a Tuesday night are two different animals.
Yeah.
So, but
that makes sense.
With the family and everything being home, you kind of want to be around for, you know, I don't want to mess that up too much either. So I want to try and be as available as I can to them. So streaming during nights, you got to pick and choose those. Still like doing the content too. Want to keep with that. So that's another thing that I've been trying to keep with is doing the content. And yeah, I do want to get more episodes. I was thinking of a list of people in my head to have come on to It's Beer O'Clock. It's just with everything, it's a lot. It's a lot of screen time, streaming multiple days a week. So
yeah, having two podcasts, streaming multiple days a week, going on other people's podcasts.
Packing orders, like it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot, man. So
for sure.
I think everyone that thinks streaming is an easy thing, and you know you can stream, and just like a day in the life of a streamer. That should be a. I know you did that video. It's a lot. So it's a lot.
We may have something in the works. I need to. I did one day where Chef and I recorded a ton of stuff, and then I want to do one day where I go in to work with him like early in one morning, and he walks me around the actual restaurant part of things.
Oh, that would be awesome.
That'd be sweet. That'd be awesome.
And then do a day in the life of basically Pokey Chef 954, but like an eBay live streamer type of thing, or like a part-time streamer.
New Jersey, get you on the deal with me. Hard hat. Let's go, Java.
I don't know about that,
baby. Let's go.
Does it come with hazard pay?
Yeah, dude, I'll buy you lunch every day we're there.
All right, and then obviously below us we have Spatt down there. Spatt doesn't do anything content. I don't think he shows
I am
up
just your
on.
neighborhood lurker. That's all I
Yeah,
do.
he shows
I
up
lurk
on
everywhere.
channels
Long
every
time
once in a
lurker.
while. He's been
Spat's the man.
yeah.
Just a lurker. Just a
Big fan
lurker.
of Spat.
He's been.
Okay.
I realized this the other day because he called out that he has a dusk ball on my channel, and that actually means that he's been a member on my channel for over a year. Which
Look at that. Look at that.
you might have honestly been one of the first members I've even had at that
I
point,
may have been.
which is crazy. But we
Happens.
met for the first time, I think, in Chicago last year,
Yeah.
and
that's
we
when I met a
vended
lot
next
of
to each
people.
other. And yeah, ever since you've been a part of the group and friends and all sorts of awesome stuff. So, and we're going to
Yeah.
Chicago again in a couple months.
And
all
we're
together.
sharing an abode.
So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Gonna
we
be a lot
got,
of
we got a
fun.
house going real close to the venue too. It's awesome. Very excited to be as close
Yeah,
to
I'm
the venue
stoked
as
up for
we
that.
are. Yeah. So
Yeah, that's
nice
awesome.
and easy, quick Uber there and back. Might rent a car too. Spat and I were talking about renting a vehicle for the duration of the stay.
it
so we
just
can
sounds like it'd just be easier.
Yeah, man. We'll cook food at the place. There's a huge backyard. Like we'll keep costs down and have a good time.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Heck yeah.
Definitely. All right, so I want to start with Spatt because Spatt might be leaving us a little bit earlier than Bierski tonight. I'm not 100%
Should be
sure on
good.
timing. Should be good.
It should be good. Yeah, it should
Okay.
be fine. But
But we'll start with Spatt. So, Spatt, you did something that I don't think I would ever want to do, but you have figured it out, I guess, on your end that it makes sense and it works for you. Is you flew in the morning of Saturday, Atlanta Collecticon, and you flew out the night of Saturday after Atlanta
Yes.
Collecticon. So you flew in and
Yeah.
out the same day, and you did some sourcing while you were there, and you hung out with Bierski and got lunch and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Why and does it work for you? Like, tell us about the whole experience. Like,
right. So it really just comes down to optimizing time and money. Really, it's merging the two together. I'm a bit of a stickler when it comes to money. I like to really manage it and get as much out of it as I can. So, luckily, I'm near two airports. So I'm near Philly and Atlantic City. So I have a couple options, and there's usually always something that I can make work throughout the day, going in or going out. So I've done this a few times, but to answer your question, yes, it does work for me, and it does make a lot of sense. So between the two airports, I can usually find an inbound and round trip flights for. I don't think I've ever paid more than like 200 in the same day. Where if
and
you
I
really
assume that
just,
the flights are mostly like you would only do this for mostly East Coast Collecticons.
so-
Like any longer flight, you probably
right, yeah.
would
So
work
if
out.
I've done it in Atlanta, I've done it in Houston, I've done it in Atlanta again. And then maybe it. I think it was just
Okay.
Atlanta and Houston.
Houston's
I
still
could've sworn there was
a haul
another
for
one.
a day.
Yeah, Houston would be a long.
That's 8
longer
hours of
flight.
flight. That's
Yeah,
2
it was
hours.
it's like 3.5. So
Okay.
it's not terrible. But yeah, so I've done it a few times, and it does work for me. Obviously, if the flight was $600, like it would be to LA, and then the flight there is going to be 6-7 hours, however long that flight is. I've never been out there. It doesn't work because there's only so many hours in the day.
Yeah, yeah.
But if you have a 2-hour flight, like getting to Atlanta is easy peasy from Philly. So I had a 7 a.m. flight out, so I got to get to the airport at like 5. So up at 3:34. So it is a long day. So I'm up at 3:30, get to the airport at 5, fly out at 7, land at 9, get to the actual con at like 10-ish after landing, getting yourself situated, Ubers, stuff like that. So get at the con at 10. And then, you have all day there. So if you have 8 hours, think of it like a work day. You can get a lot done in 8 hours. The cons are huge, but I always find a way to pretty much hit every table. So yeah, just spend as much time. You're kind of running around like a chicken with your head cut off. That's one of my favorite sayings. But
And I imagine
not your-
I imagine you and Bierski are looking for pretty different things when you're going. Beer ski is
Yeah.
kind of
It was
partnered
an
with this.
overlap, I think.
Okay.
I ended up buying some stuff off of Spatt at the
Yeah.
place where we got lunch. Which Spatt, those Blastoise and Venusaur cards are crushing, by the way. So thank
Beautiful.
you.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
All right,
love
it's a
it.
win-win there.
Win-win, baby.
Yeah, so really it's just making sure that you can get the flights. If there's a Collecticon within like a 2 or 3 hour flight of any of you guys watching, I think it's a fun experience to get in, day out, just to see how it is. Again, it's a really, really long day. It turns into like a 16 to 18 hour day. I think so. I was up at 3:30 and I was not home until 1. So
Oof.
I mean, you're like on your feet going. It's not fun sitting in an airport for
23
the hour
day,
prior.
22-hour
Yeah,
day, man.
it
That's
turns
a big
into a
day.
really, really long day. The next day you're pretty beat, but it's fun. I mean, looking at I love it. I love looking at cardboard. So you get a lot of opportunity to see stuff you probably wouldn't get to see, like, just searching through eBay. I mean, you can find it, but stuff that you wouldn't be able to buy and feel comfortable buying without seeing it in person. You get to see a lot of that stuff. So lots of opportunity there, but it's a lot of fun. I've said I will go to every single one that I can. Luckily, my job doesn't have me working on weekends. I work Monday through Friday. So if there's a flight that works and it's not like $500 round trip, I'm going to go Houston, Atlanta, Miami. The one coming up is going to be super easy for me. Flying from Atlantic City to Fort Lauderdale is like the easiest flight you could do coming out of Atlantic City with all the snowbirds between Jersey and Florida.
The well-traveled
It's just
route.
right. It's like it's got to be one of the most flown routes in the States. It's just nonstop circling around. They must go back 20 times in a day. So that's super easy. So between those two, with pretty much doing them twice a year in almost every major location, I'll go to Atlanta twice a year. I'll go to Chicago twice a year. I'll go to Miami twice a year. Jersey twice a year. You've got Charlotte
Richmond,
twice a year. Richmond.
Are you going to drive or fly to Richmond?
I'll drive. I drove to Richmond last year.
Because I
drove to Richmond last year.
Do you do one day or do you do 2 days with that?
So last year I vended Richmond with Hive Mind. We split a table. But I can't remember how long the drive was, but I woke up early on Saturday. That's what it was. I think it's like a 6-hour drive for me, 5-6 hour drive. So I woke up at like 2 in the morning and drove on Saturday morning to Richmond, got there and vended the whole day. It was a really, really, really long day. Vending
That's a long day. That's got to be terrible. Yeah.
Then stayed in Richmond, vended Sunday, and then drove home right after the con.
Okay.
So I think it was like a 5-hour drive. I could look it up.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Hours.
So like driving 5 hours, I think is my max drive now, because to fly to Newark or drive to Newark Airport, that's 3 hours of time gone already. And then the flight's, the flight's an hour or something. I'd rather just drive that, because then I'm not sitting at the airport and doing that. It's like figuring that out too is interesting, because I've never had to do it before. So
I think be my limit. There's just not many that, you've got Jersey, which is an hour and a half from where I am in Jersey. I'm at the bottom point of Jersey. So it's like an hour and a half, 2 hours from me. Obviously a no-brainer to drive to that. Charlotte would be a thought. I wish I had drove last year, because my flight got canceled going to Charlotte. So I kind of missed out on all of that stuff. So that sucked, but that's like an 9 hour drive.
It's an 8-hour drive for me from like northern New Jersey.
You could pretty easily, in my opinion. I don't mind driving. I do a lot of driving.
Pretty ride too.
I could do that. Yeah,
and you go to the Shenandoah, like it's so beautiful.
Yeah, but if you can fly out like for $100, like you can't not just hop on a flight.
It's cheaper then too, because
yeah, cheaper, and then the time savings. There's a lot you can get done in a 5-hour time savings.
Yeah,
but yeah, to answer your question, it's a lot of fun doing it in one day. It's a lot on your feet. My shoulders. Oh my goodness. Yeah, they are like almost still sore because
the backpack.
The backpack always like I always tell myself, I'm just gonna bring an empty backpack and I'm gonna come home. I'm just gonna strictly buy. But then the night prior, you know, my girlfriend asks me if I have everything I have everything ready, and I'm like, I don't have anything to get ready. Like I'm just going with my backpack. And then she gets my wheels turning, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get some stuff ready. I get some stuff ready, and the next thing you know, I've got 2 binders and 30 slabs in my backpack. And that's very heavy. After just a couple hours, 30 minutes to an hour of walking with, I mean, I don't know how heavy that is, but it can get pretty heavy. Yeah, I mean, just hold 20 slabs and walk around with that for a little bit. You're going to be a little tired. So 8 hours of that's a lot.
So being in the crazy market that we're in right now, when you're at the convention, what was, I imagine the buying situation is different maybe at this one than other ones. Were there a lot of tables that were like, no, I'm not going to do 80%, I'm not going to do 70%, I'm going to do 90-95%, or you can walk type of thing because of how crazy everything is? Like, who's going to sell you a bubble Mia for 80% right now?
You want to answer that, Brice?
I mean, so I was walking around like sourcing singles to grade mostly this past weekend. Yeah, it was last weekend, this past weekend.
Right, yeah, it's a blur.
There was like some tables that, I mean, you're going to buy 1 or 2 cheap cards. Like I was looking from $5 to $20. Like you're really not haggling all that much with those people. You get a buck or 2 off. I did buy a binder collection from Thrifty. Actually right here, 2 binders from Thrifty. Got 80% on the binders, which was great from Thrifty. Like that was a lick. I considered that a lick. A lot of good cards in there. A lot of gradable copies of things. Been selling the other stuff through the streams, and that's been doing very well. But yeah, there was a little more stinginess with it. The percentages at this point, why would you sell for less? The market is so hot. Like, why would you take 75% on anything unless you're really just trying to blow yourself out and get as liquid as you can? Which would make sense because if you're sitting on some stuff, 75% of market now is still a huge margin for you, a huge gain. But yeah, like you said, I didn't get too deep into haggling super hard with people. Like I said, I talked to Thrifty. 80% was agreed upon. Got 80% from a couple other people on some smaller things. 90% on one with one group of guys. But yeah, it makes no sense for the seller at this point in time to come down. I mean, you can put it on eBay and get 85%, and it's selling on eBay. So, why would you do that to yourself? And take 25% when you could take 15% less from eBay with shipping and fees and all that stuff. That's where the market is right now. I mean, I know taxes and all that stuff, but like, be above board. You don't have to worry about any of that. Yeah. During
Jake had his office hours in the Pokenomics Discord today, and he was talking about, because he was there with his business partner and they were vending, and he said that there were tables that have buy lists and they were buying cards at like 100%, 95%.
Card rush. Dude, I watched Spatt flip 4 Celebrations Charizards, make $30 in like 5 minutes. He just walked up, handed it to them. They were buying them for $100 a piece. And it was like the quickest flip. It was awesome. I love seeing stuff like that because you can see what's possible. Like you could go around that show and just buy those and make hundreds of dollars each day. Just buying them at 80% and selling them for 100% market plus to those big people that are just literally, the lady checked condition of one of them. He skipped the line too. He's got, I have 4 cards here. Skipped the line. They grabbed the cards and she looked at one, $400 in his hand. Boom. Yeah. It was amazing.
So, I was at that. I guess, is that what it is? Was it Card Rush?
I think it was Card Rush, yeah.
One of them. They have a whole section. So I was there earlier looking at some cards. I can't remember what it was, but I usually do pretty well there whenever I go and source. But they had these screens up. I hadn't seen these screens ever, so this must be something new that they're doing. But they have like a kind of how like Dan has his hot buy list now. They have like, it was like 10, maybe not 10. It's probably like 8 rows, 5, so like 40 cards. Where it was just like a picture of the card, Celebrations Charizard, $100. Like, near mint condition, no questions asked. You get $100, and this was like midday, and like 30 minutes prior, I was at a table, and I would, obviously, if I see a Celebration Charizard, I'm gonna just take a look at it, just because it's such a liquid card. So if you can grade it, get a 10, and
Card
one of the
rich.
easiest plays you can make. Card rich.
Card rich.
So I made a mental note after that, seeing that they were paying $100, and I was just like, I just checked out like 6 of them at this other booth, and they were asking $100. So I'm like, worst case scenario, like they say no. So I went there. I said, hey, if I buy all of these, they only had 4 when I got back. This was like 30 minutes later. I said, if I buy all of these, would you do like $80 a piece? I kind of lowballed at first, and they're like, how about 90? Or I said, they said 95. I said, how about 90? And then we came up to like, I paid $370 for 4 of them. So I just literally took them and met Bierski up right after that, and then sold them, got $400 cash, and then we walked right up to lunch. So it paid for my lunch.
He fanned them out. He was just like, and I'm going to make the easiest $30 of my life. And those are the exact words. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
But
what Jake said.
like Kevin said,
Oh, go ahead.
You could make a day out of that, because I mean, I didn't have as much time to really be spending. Like, I'd rather go spend my time getting some gradable cards, rather than just making quick flips like that. I guess it may be negative EV or positive EV. I don't know. But if you just went around to the con and bought every single Celebration Charizard you could for $90, like, I'm sure there was a lot of tables out there that would have been like, yeah, I'll take $90 for a Celebration Charizard. Especially if it's not gradable and they're just looking to get rid of it. I mean, you sell that on TCG Player at this point. I'm not sure what market is, but
might be my
$90 has to be fairly
in Chicago, to be honest, Spatt.
It is going to be one of my morning. I'm
like,
gonna go just check.
If we're not vending, we should just pound pavement, pool some cash, and just buy take the top 5 cards from that buy list and go to town on those cards only, and buy as many as you can and bring them there and cash out. Like, it's free money. It's literally free money.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Actually,
we take that cash and go to the casino afterwards, and
I'm
we put it all on black.
100% going to the casino. 100% going to the casino when I'm there. I looked for one of the first things I looked at when Ray asked me if I wanted to go to Atlanta was like, is there a casino in Atlanta? And there is not. So I love casinos. Like, when we go to, so the HomieCon is now like in the Pocono Mountains, pre-Jersey Collecticon. It's been like moved, and there's multiple casinos there. So, like, we can have a great time. That's Tuesday to Wednesday, and then Thursday, Friday. It's one big party. I'm really looking forward to that, too. So, yeah, casino's where it's at. I'm looking forward to that. So, we need to talk to who's walking with us in our group, because I think that might be a move. We could definitely...
Jake said that his partner Dylan was making a couple $100 an hour just walking around buying stuff at, like you said, 80-90%, and then selling it straight to them on the buy list. Yeah, and it's like... Yeah, you just don't know though, like, how many do they buy until they turn the panels off? Like,
I feel like it's endless.
I don't think they would. They must have some sort of outlet. I don't know if they have a physical card shop. I don't know if they stream.
But if you get their VIP hour, just take note, because we did that around 2. It was like
1, 2 o'clock.
1, 2 o'clock. So you have from 9 a.m. to 2 o'clock to do that play, day 1.
Yeah. You
get multiple people, like, endless.
And that was like just a one-off thing. I didn't even think about it for the rest of the day, because my mind was just like, I'm leaving in, by the time I got back after lunch, I'm leaving in 4 hours. Like, I got to go find, the whole point of me coming here was to go find gradable cards. Didn't have a major stack at that point. Like, can I make $200 or $300? Like, quick flipping cards, yeah, but at that point I'm barely profiting on my flight. At that point, it's like, okay, I just made $100, but I just stood on my feet for 16 hours. That's not worth it to me at that point. When I can go source 100 cards and grade them and potentially make thousands.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So, but it would be a lot of fun to spend like 4 hours and make like a YouTube video out of it. If I was a YouTuber, that'd be a lot of fun.
Java, I know what we're doing day 1. You said you wanted to make
hey, listen, if you want to spend an hour with me and Kevin, me and Bierski trying to do that would be a fun little pivot there.
And just literally like,
see, we should do that and see who makes the most money.
Getting rich
We
off
both go in
Pokey
separate
Rich. There you go.
directions.
Getting rich off Pokey Rich. I love it, dude.
Yes, they're good.
All
They're
right.
good people there. They are good people there. They hook me up pretty much every time.
Your section's massive. It's like 2
Yeah.
full sections.
Yeah, they. I don't know if they recognize me or not, but every time I've gone there, they've got all their cases, their raw stuff in cases, and they just got to the point where they just open up the cases and let me like pretty much pre-grade everything I want to see, rather than like pointing at one card, opening up the case, closing it, giving me the card. Like they just kind of let me go at it.
So what was turnout like? Do you feel like was the event any more or less packed than a lot of the Collecticons from last year, or because I would assume there would be more interest given.
I feel like it was less
but
packed, to be honest.
Okay, I'm happy you say that because I don't think it was as busy as I was anticipating it.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
Like it paled in comparison to New Jersey. And I think that's just an unfair comparison at this point, but you're in a major metropolitan area. I mean, it's hot Atlanta, for Christ's sakes. So,
I mean, we can just compare it to last Atlanta. I went to Atlanta. I don't know if I can look that up really quickly. When was the last Atlanta?
November?
Was it November? I know it was recent.
Yeah, I think it was
Because
November.
Jersey is a much smaller. Was that the one with the really small venue?
It was a small venue, so they moved the Atlanta venue from the bigger space in the convention center to a smaller venue that was smaller than the Jersey one.
Huh. And it felt less packed.
It felt less packed too. It was a bizarre, like we came in like, even I'd say compared to Charlotte, which I felt like wasn't as packed the last time when I was in Charlotte. You can gauge a lot off of that silly crowd that stands there for Jason Page when everyone congregates for that. It wasn't packed, man. Not at all.
So it looks like September was the last Atlanta.
Okay.
I went to that one, and it was in the exact same room, exact same everything. And I think that one was busier. Perfect.
That's really surprising to me.
Yeah, maybe people were it was just more of a constant flow rather than like an initial surge. But it didn't seem any crazier. Like I was a little worried. Like when I first showed up at 10 o'clock, I texted Bierski. I was like, I'm here, but there's a long line. The line was like pretty quick. It was not like stand here and wait 30 minutes type of line. It was like, we're just going to steady flow in. Whereas before, like at the exact same venue, I remember the line being a lot longer and standing in it for a lot longer. Maybe they have their shit together in a sense, like they've got like a system going where there is not as much waiting. That could have helped. But even maybe in terms of like walking the tables, didn't seem busy.
Yeah, maybe too, people just feel like there aren't deals to be had right now. Maybe
it's like
a
reverse psychology type thing. Yeah, it's like you're kind of
it's like people are going to sell for 100% or more or whatever. So what's the point in taking the flight and going and doing that sort of thing?
Right.
Is tag good? Grimer says is tag good.
Tag.
I didn't see one. I did not see one tag graded card. To be honest, I'm going to be very honest. I did not see a lot of graded cards. There was so much
lots
raw.
Of raw.
It was raw heavy. Like that is 100. So it's either
it's good for you guys
sending all their stuff to PSA. There was a ton of gradable copies of stuff too. I feel like the market right now is just allowing people not to need to grade.
Yeah.
And
for sure,
they'll make great margins off of not grading stuff. It was an interesting con. I will say that. Like I could have easily spent the whole day like I finding like when Thrifty showed up, like it was just happenstance that like she had the binders and she goes, I haven't even put this one out yet. Look through it. And I was sitting there and I was pulling cards out and Rock Pokemon was just like, dude. And I'm looking at it and then I'm like looking through it more and I was like, I think I'm just gonna get this whole binder. It's gonna take the whole damn thing. And I took the whole thing. And it worked out. And then she had another binder that she gave to me for a good price. And that's just like a lot of baby shinies and perfect fodder for whatnot. She said, like, if you don't buy this, I'm going to go to Vortex and Vortex is going to buy it. So,
yeah.
And I don't doubt it.
Now, Bierski, when you go to Collecticon to pick stuff up, are you thinking about, like, are you going in a personal capacity or are you going in a Shiny Cards of Collectibles capacity? And are there certain things where you're like, well, this would go well on stream, but I wouldn't buy it personally, and some things that you're like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this personally, but that wouldn't be something that I would stream, or how does that work for you?
So when I go, if Ray pays for, so Ray paid for my flight, Ray paid for my hotel. So when that happens, I go for Spatt and I talked about this actually at lunch. I pretty much go for shiny cards and collectibles. I spent that first day looking at stuff for shiny cards and collectibles.
I was gonna say the boss is here. You better be careful with.
Oh, is Raymond here? Yeah, Biersky, how does it work? No, I mean my whole day, like when I'm at the con, it is for shiny cards and collectibles. Like I did not look for stuff for myself. Spat even asked me, like, "Are you gonna go look for stuff for yourself?" And I was like, "Probably not. Like I'm here for Ray. That's what I do. I did that in Chicago. I did it obviously in Atlanta. Yeah, I mean, I'll look at. So the good thing about streaming, it's a different market than like what's on eBay and all that stuff. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff that like I personally like for my personal collection and what like I would want to sell like on like eBay and stuff like that. Like I wouldn't buy, but for streaming and like what we're trying to do and for the graded cards that now we're trying to get for streaming, you know, I go there with an idea of like what I'm looking for, but you have to be very. Biersky has full autonomy, and he knows. Oh, Ray, I 100% know, and that's why
he does.
That's why this relationship works so well. Like I mean, he never tells me what to stream ever. Like all my shows are done myself. He just provides me with the means to do it. Oh man, oh yeah. So I go there with like a certain idea of like what I'm trying to find, but when you start looking at stuff, you're gonna find great things all over the place. And I make it a point to be flexible. You got to be flexible on stream. You got to be flexible when you're buying stuff as well. So like there was cards that I picked up that I thought I would never pick up, weren't even in my mind to pick up, but when they're there and they're presenting themselves, you kind of got to go with it. Like some more modern stuff from Battle Partners I picked up that wasn't on my list. Like I was thinking of like very, I guess like modern stuff, but like Pokemon that people know. But like when you find other things like popular Pokemon,
Yeah.
you know, I got a bunch of that too. But you gotta like kind of cater to everyone because there's gonna be a couple people who want some other things, and you'll get good pricing out of it. So,
Yeah.
yeah. When Ray sends me, I go for Ray. Like when I go to Chicago, that's on me. Like I'm gonna go and be more Biersky focused for Chicago. Obviously, everyone knows what I'm gonna do now. Like that's gonna be my first day. I'm gonna just go around and card rich it up. I'm just gonna buy and sell back to them the whole day.
There you go.
Go there with $100. Like maybe make that. I'm gonna see how much I can turn this $100, $500 into today. Like let's see what we can do.
Be a lot of fun.
That it's gonna be so much fun.
Sourcing for somebody else is actually quite fun. Chef and I went.
It's fun. It's stressful though too because you want to make sure you're doing right. Like I tell Ray this all the time. Like with the graded play, like I pre-grade way harder than I should. Everything I send, I pre-grade like a maniac. And Ray's like, dude, just don't overthink it. And he's right. Like stuff that I am looking at the card for 5 to 10 seconds and see, like they'll never see in a million years, or I'm just overthinking something. It's just having to send out a little bit more and be. But I said to him, it's like, listen, I just want to make sure that I'm doing right by you. Like you're sending me here with this much money. Like I don't want to like screw you. Like I'm still going through that collection from Chicago Java, and the amount of gradable cards in that collection is so ridiculous. Like I have another 30 that I'm getting ready to send to PSA, and I still got to go through more. So it's crazy.
Yeah, it was really fun. Chef and I went to a local show, and it was like they basically have the islands of tables, and we would just go in a circle. Like I would hit the table, and I would go through all like the raw cards sitting in ETB, whatever's. I'd pull out all the popular Pokemon, all the promos, all the whatever. I'd make a stack for Chef. He'd start on the stack, and then I'd go to the next table and rip everything out. I would put that stack aside. Chef would make it to the next stack after paying the person, and it was just like it was a fun little like operation that we did at every little section. and I really enjoyed that. So hopefully, we're actually going to see Pokemon Wonder at the end of the month,
Ooh,
March 1st and 2nd, because Charlotte's having a card show. So Chef and I are road tripping it out there, and hopefully we'll be doing a lot of that while we're out there too. So
very cool, man.
yeah, it's fun.
Seems
It's
like
fun.
that would be fun, but like I feel like I would be too nervous. Like I will, especially in Pokemon. Like I'm a very frugal dude in my personal life. Like incredibly frugal. I like to stretch my dollar. When it comes to Pokemon, though, and I'm sure a lot of people feel this way. Like money isn't exactly the same because it can't be. Like
Yeah.
you have to like if I go out to lunch, I'm like okay, can I spend 10 instead of 15? Like, should I get a soda or should I grab a water type of thing? Whereas, like, if it's cards, it's like I'll go drop thousands of dollars on cards in a day and
Yeah.
like not even bat an eye to it. Um,
Yeah, it's like, should I buy
would
the
I
new
feel comfortable
couch or
doing that
should
with
I
somebody else's
spend
money?
multiple thousands of dollars on singles? It's like,
Yeah,
I'll buy
I
the singles, of course, but buying the new couch is like, maybe
right
I'll wait a little bit. Yeah.
point. I'm not sure how I would feel using somebody else's money doing that.
It's a little bit of
It's a
a
different. It's got to be a weird like line to toe because if you make that purchase, and I understand like Ray seems like a super cool dude and a great guy to like work with and work for.
oh,
So like
absolutely.
you're not worried about him like even if something goes astray and like you know doesn't work out, you buy that binder for however much you buy it for. And you in your head, it's like, okay, maybe we stream this and grade what we can, and we should do well and make some money, and everybody should be happy. But what happens when you spend thousands and you lose half of it because
So
half
this
of it wasn't as gradable and your streams aren't auctioning well?
this exact thing happened with that collection from Chicago,
The mid
um,
era one,
the mid-era one. So I was super juiced on it. Again, I'm still going through stuff in it and pulling cards out to grade. I've separated everything by like era. We're going through it, pulling out the gradables, auctioning off the singles. Today I auctioned off a Polyrath from Neo with a perfect fart swirl. Couldn't have been any more perfect. Polyrath, like with the little pyramid logo. I forget which one it is, but
Okay.
vintage card. Sold it for way over what I bought it for today.
Yeah.
So we're getting better, but like to be clear, Bierski didn't approve of this guest appearance with HR, so he's probably fired after this. Oh, okay, yeah,
very pissed.
I should be packing right now.
Pack it up.
And I felt awful, like when I was auctioning these cards off on stream and they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, and I literally like felt bad and I apologized to Ray. And Ray goes, "You learned something. Like
Yeah.
we'll make our money back on it. You'll learn something. To have someone have that much faith in you and allow you to learn on their dime is like a crazy thought. And it's like I feel super like lucky to have that in my life, have that in this hobby. Like I say it to everyone, Ray's like a Pokemon mentor to me. Um, I've learned so much just working closely with Ray over the past few months since August.
Yeah.
He's literally become like my Pokemon mentor with a lot of things. I'm learning the ins and outs of Pokemon business. I'm figuring out how to source from Japan. And I get to interact with customers daily and see what's going on. So it's definitely like leveled me up working with him. And for him to like, again, Chicago, he sent me there with $7,500. I spent every dime of that. Bought a
Yeah.
lot of stuff, and I still have a lot of it here. It's inventory we have now, and now we're working through it at a more efficient pace. Things are starting to pick up on it, but like that's it. And for him to go like he was like, dude, you learned something. We're gonna keep going, keep doing our thing, and now it's just making sure. I think Bierski spent 7,500 in an hour too. Yeah, it was. I spent it by lunch. It was all it was cooked up. But like looking through that collection and how gradable everything was, I was like, this is just an opportunity. So now we're starting to put stuff on eBay. Like I said, more stuff's gonna go out, and that stuff's only rising in price. Like I just sold a Skytree Rayquaza, the cracked ice,
Yeah.
$320, man. Like it's a win. Like that's a huge win.
Hell yeah.
PSA 10. Like these cards are PSA. I sent you the thing when I graded it. So like that, it's amazing. It's cool having it, but it is also nerve-wracking knowing that it's someone else's money and you can get messed up on it. Like, you can get beat up on it. And that's like my big thing with everyone in the hobby right now is like they're waiting for people to get beat up on a lot of things that are happening right now, because it's coming. Like, the reckoning is coming. People don't want to believe it, but it's coming. And there's going to be a lot of people like, oh shit, like all that money. When you watch a card go from $5,000 to $2,000, people are going to be like, oh no.
All those people buying Shrouded Fable ETBs right now are going to...
Dude, like, they just went out.
They're going to feel the pain.
The pain is coming, bro. Like, and I don't want it to happen to people, but it is definitely going to happen. So, you just got to be careful. Just got to be careful.
Yeah, one of the things that I've had to learn with the whole like supplying Chef with cards, doing the whole consignment thing with the streaming stuff is it's about the collection of all the auctions at the end of the day. How did you do? Not each single auction. So I can watch Chef stream and I'll be like, oh man, that Charizard, oh, it just went so under, and I'll get like, ugh, and then the next thing is like a classic collection Bulbasaur that sells for $12, and I'm like, okay. It's like at the end of the day, even if something underperforms, something's going to overperform, and at the end of the day, you're going to make money. So it's like, that's how it would be really hard for me to not focus on each single individual thing and not get emotionally tough. Like frustrated at certain things. Yeah.
It's tough. It definitely hits you. Especially when you have what you paid for it on the top loader and you're pulling it out, and I paid 75% for that collection. And then when you get one that doesn't hit that number that you need, you're just like, ugh. And then you get the next one, you're like, ugh. And some days you lose on singles all. You're not winning. But other days, like today was a huge single day for me. First hour of the show, ran singles. It was crushing on stuff. So you take the good with the bad. There's ups and there's downs. Excuse me.
Yeah, for sure. We did have a question I want to hit. Urban Yeti asked, never been to a con or card show, but planning on going to a couple this year to source for grading. Y'all got any tips or best practices? I've been 100% eBay or buy at this point. So never been to a card show, going to source for grading. You guys have any tips for that? Spatt, do you want to start on this one?
Yeah, so that's pretty much all that I go for. Aside from, and we can get into this later, I find myself doing very, very well selling everything that I bring. We can touch on that later, because I think that is a good point for people to know and learn about going to these cons, because it's not always just like a sourcing thing. It's a great place to dump. But in terms of sourcing, I mean, the one tip I would have is, and this is all capital driven, so if you don't have as much money to spend, it can be kind of a tough pill to swallow. But you can't get too much sticker shock, because especially in this market, like if you're going to a recent or to a Collecticon coming up and we're still in this market, you can't expect to get, if you're only buying 3 cards, you're not going to get, they're not going to take $1 off.
No,
they may take a couple bucks off, $5 off. You spend 200, they'll do 190 type of thing, but those cards may have been at 105% of market already. So it's like, you're not really saving money. The big thing you have to get across is that you are in person and you are looking at these cards. So I will pay, and I'll show you, I can gladly fan through the cards that I bought. I ended up coming home with about 100 cards.
I'm glad you're saying this, Pat.
You need to have and put some value in actually seeing the cards in person. I paid above market on probably 50 of these 100 cards. Maybe 5-10% above market, knowing that I'm getting eyes on these cards right now. I have graded cards for the last couple of years. I've graded thousands of cards. I have a lot of, not a lot of experience, but I have a lot of faith in my eye, to the point where if I get eyes on these cards, I don't care what I'm paying as long as there's margin there to be made. For example, I'll buy a Celebrations Charizard for $125, $150, honestly. With what they're going for now, they're pushing 300, I think. If I can grade it for 15 and flip it real quick, I'll pay $140.
Yeah.
If it's Celebrations, it's a Charizard. I've sold 50 of them in the last 2 years. Like, I'll pay 110% of market for that. I'm getting eyes on it. You got to put that in the forefront of your mind. because if you don't, especially in this market, you're not going to come home with as much as you want, and you're not going to make it worth it. You got to take
Yeah.
those small wins, and you got to let them like kind of snowball into each other. Because some tables you go to, you will do really well. You'll find 20 cards, and they may only be $10 cards. But if they knock off a little bit there, and you buy those for 85%, you can feel better about spending 110% at the next table where you only bought 4 cards for $150. So you just kind of have to focus on you're looking at the cards.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that too, that there's a value in being able to see the cards and hold the cards and basically pre-grade them in person before you even buy. There's definitely a value there. Everyone wants a deal, like you want to go up and get that $300 card for $260 or $280 or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, if it's a $600 card in a PSA 10 and you can almost confirm with your eyes that it's a 10, like why are you haggling, man? Just go for it. Like don't hold yourself back for $20.
Bingo. Like Spatt hit it on the head, man. Like that's 100% it. Don't price yourself out of the market by being too haggly with things. Like just again, seeing it in person. Back in my day, we were begging for 75%. But those days are gone, right? They're coming back. They will come back. Those days will come back. But right now, with the way things, I mean, everything is doing this. It's like yodelay, yodelay, like it's going up the mountain. That's where we're at. Like you're gonna get that card. By the time you get home, send it to PSA, and then get it back. It's gonna rise another 10 to 20% right now in this market. Some stuff's doing that, but eventually that will kick you in the ass, and it'll go down 10 to 20%. So. Again,
depending how backed up PSA gets.
Well, so did you see what the retros video today? I don't know if anyone watched that.
I didn't see that one yet.
Yeah, I don't put any, and I'm not like calling Retro out or anything. I love his stuff.
Call him out.
I don't put any weight on what. So not to go watch that video, please. Go support Retro, but it was pretty much just saying like they're behind a couple weeks on opening packages. They're like a month behind. They're opening up January 14th, and it's February 14th. PSA is not first in, first out. I have like 2 orders there right now that arrived like 2 weeks ago, and they're already in research and ID, and one's already in grading. So like they're opening. The whole it was like they're opening packages like a month behind. But the way that PSA works, it's like you could send a package could land today in bulk and get opened up. Like it's just kind of how
Yo, what the F you calling out Retro for?
I'm just saying, I don't think PSA is as behind. They may be behind. I don't think they're as behind. Like, I don't think that's like a point that we should be taking too heavily in terms of whether or not PSA is behind or not.
The bigger point in that video, I think, was, and I think this might happen. There was already posts on Instagram, like people saying like pre-grade change, like pre-standards changing to like post-standards changing, and they showed like how many PSA 10s they got and stuff. But the one thing Retro did say that I found very interesting is I wouldn't doubt the way he said that like a manager went in and said, guys, just make sure we're checking that 55-45 rule or the 60-40 rule, whatever it is. And they might get a little tighter on that stuff. So that was, I think that was the more interesting point of that video. I am interested to see though if they are going to start backing up, depending on how many cards they are getting, because it's looking like. I mean,
I may eat my words here.
How many people like Spatt are going to Collecticons and buying all? Like, look at the graded card tower he has to his left. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like it's a fucking tower. Like, look at that.
Earlier, it was off.
No, we can still see it.
Yeah, I just look at this pack. Like, how many cards do people have out? Like, it's crazy right now, and that's just one grading company. Like, we are.
CGC right now is cooking. I'm getting one sent back after 3 weeks, bulk. Like, they're still under a month.
So
even though you've got people that have been well over a month. Like, I think it's with these companies, unfortunately, the way it is, it's just never first in, first out. Like I said, I have packages that have been open, bulk packages that arrived like 2 weeks ago. They're already in research and ID. So you can't take that exact data point as like they're behind. They probably are behind, and I'll eat my words. And we're going to be looking at turnaround times of 90 days soon.
I mean,
So
they're
Retro may be
hiring
right.
for graders in Jersey City.
Uh-oh.
I could go get a grader job. I should just apply to that and do that.
Listen,
Stream
go
at
be the
night,
hobby
grade during the
savior.
day, and I will just bring in spy cameras. We'll figure out the whole operation.
Yeah, get some glasses on.
There
Some
you go.
Ray-Bans,
glasses.
bro. $299. Meta glasses. Boom. You can see whatever you want now.
There you
Yeah, show
go.
everybody how they actually want to be.
The green
wanna be
light means
grading.
it's off, guys. I don't know what you're talking about.
So, do we have any more tips for
Yeah, I can actually. I'm
Urban Yeti?
thinking of some like just sporadically. So a big thing with doing this is one, you got to be friendly. Like you don't go up to these tables and similar to what we were saying, like don't expect to get like money off. Like you got to be a good person. You got to be a nice person. Like don't go up to like, let me see that card. Be like, hey, how are you? How's the show going? Can I check out a few cards?
Yeah, chat people. Be human.
Be human. You're there. Everybody's there for a good time. I remember like these guys are sitting behind a table for 8 hours, 10 hours. They've been up for a while. They're effectively working. So just be polite, and be a good person. And then you also have to understand that a lot of these vendors know that you're there to make money off of them. Like quite literally, that is, we're looking to exploit other vendors that don't grade. That's the end game here. So it's kind of like eerie to say it like that. I don't know if that sounds bad, but that's ultimately what we're doing. We're taking other hobbyists and other businesses and looking to fund our hobby and business. So
yeah, everyone's making money.
Right.
The circle of life. This is literally the Lion King.
Relationship. Yeah, it's great. Like to further on get with my point, like when you're nice and you prove, especially at this point, you prove to the vendor that like you're there to spend money and you're not there to like nitpick and just kind of look at cards. Like there are plenty of people that I've seen at these shows doing this that they just like say like, can I look at that card? If I look at that card, oh, that card's really cute. I really like that card. Ooh, can I see that card? And they don't buy a single thing. I literally I won't really ever go look at a single card for the most part. Like I try and look at a few because I want us to like support the vendor. And I'm not even trying to say that to be like, oh, I'm like trying to, help fund these other businesses, but like I don't want to waste anybody's time.
Yeah.
So especially at like Card Rich, for example, like we were talking about that prior, like they've gotten to the point where I don't know if I'm not on a first name basis with any of them. I don't really know any of them, but I'm sure they know my face by now. And because I recognize their face, I could pick them out of a crowd, but they've gotten to the point where they'll open the case and I can pre-create every single card in there that I want. I don't have to ask them anymore. It's, hey, can I open up this case? Like I got to the point where I was opening up the cases myself. So when you get that relationship and they can trust you and you just come off as a good person, like that will pay dividends. And just showing that you're not there to waste anybody's time.
Yep.
Like not to ramble on too much about this, but this one guy that I now am on a first name basis with, Kevin, not Kevin Bierski, but Kevin at another vendor booth. He rents like half a section. I think they're with a local card shop somewhere along the East Coast, but I've seen him at every Collecticon. I think it was Houston. At the end of the show, I spent an hour with him. He had probably 4 to 6 tables, just straight cases of raw, all raw, not a single graded card, all raw. And he just has sleeves of every single card, sleeves with like 10 cards in them, penny sleeves. So as soon as I saw that, I'm like, oh my goodness. He had every hit you could think of, every from 5 to 500. And I quickly just started buying cards. Like that's when I was like, let me take a shot here, let me take a shot there, because he's willing to show me, go down every single case, every single line. And I spent an hour with him and spent thousands of dollars with him just at his table. Initially, he even told me that he doesn't do that for people. But since I initially bought cards from him, like I like kind of set the tone, like, okay, here, I've already spent $300 with you. Like we're through the first case. You have 12 more cases to go. Like this can be a very good thing for both of us. So let's do that. And then I saw him again in Atlanta, and it was like we immediately were like shook hands, had a good laugh, said what's going on, and we got started. And I was with him for an hour again and spent thousands. Yeah. So like building that relationship, like from here on out, like I asked him like, what's the next card show you're going to be at? Because you're going to be like, I'm going to look for you. Like I may as well start my day with you. Start my day and end my day. He's going to get new inventory in. I'll get the first crack at what he's got, and then I'll get the last crack at what he ends with. But it's a good relationship there. You know, he knows I'm there to grade. And one more point: don't spend too much time pre-grading. Don't. Just
you drive yourself nuts too doing that, because the lighting in those places isn't the best either.
Yeah, you just got to get into the zone. Like he said, there are cards where, again, I don't know if I have a decent eye for it. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But centering, like he'll fan out cards and I'll be no. I'll look at these three. Like immediately. I just have to look at one. You effectively just have to look at one corner of the card. Because like if you're looking at a card, you look at this top corner, you could tell whether or not the top is centered and the left is centered. So if the left isn't centered, the right's not obviously centered. It's a give and take game. So look at one corner. If it's centered, take a look at the back, check for scratches, check for whitening, but be quickie with it, because it's just you're going to waste so much time trying to pre-grade.
Yeah, if you know what you want and you go up and you're just one person that I really like when they come by my table and buy stuff is Chibi Collectibles. Do you guys know him?
Sam, yeah.
Yeah, Sam. Yeah. He's awesome. He'll come up, he'll talk, he's a nice guy, and then he's just going through, while he's talking, he's going through every binder, he's pulling stuff out, everything that he wants, creates a stack, and is like, if it's not priced, he'll be like, I'll be back in half an hour if you want to price this out, or if it is, he's just like, all right, how much do I owe you? And it's like, he just knows what he wants, he comes in, he buys a bunch of stuff, is a pleasant guy, and I think it's exactly what you're talking about. Like, just...
It costs nothing to be nice.
Yeah.
Right. And at this point, you would almost, I would probably rather do business with him and maybe lose a little bit of a percentage point.
Yeah, I would give him a better deal. Yeah.
Right. Just because you know how easy it is. Okay, I'll do 70% for you, but some random guy coming up, I'm doing 75 or 80%. I'm going to put that work in. I already have that business relationship with you. Like, for example, that guy, Kevin, I can't remember what the name of the business he has is, but literally while we were there, he has a couple employees there. He is firm on prices. Like if the sticker says 55, it's $55. That is what the price is. And this is even pre-boom. Now he gave me a decent price. He gave me I think I paid 90% of his sticker because we did so much volume and I was just so quick and easy with it. So, and I didn't even have to ask for it. He immediately, we had a calculator up and he just 0.9. That was that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
What Spatt said. Pretty much what Spatt said.
What he said.
He kind of nailed it there.
Sorry, I can talk for a while.
No,
yeah, man.
Because I can talk too. So we're from New Jersey, bro.
And I haven't done I haven't done a lot of just going to shows to source, apart from that one show that I went with PokeChef to do that, but that was less for like gradables and more for just his stream and finding deals and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't have I've got a lot of tips for actual vending, but if you're not going to be doing that, then yeah, I think Spatt and Beerski now, because you've done a lot of sourcing, but you're also sourcing for live streaming, which is a little bit different than sourcing for like raw gradables. So, but yeah, I mean, all that sounded really good to me. I don't have anything to add there.
And you're only going to get better at it too. Like it's only going to get easier for you, especially if you've already been pre-grading, and you already are doing the eBay buy E stuff. Like it's essentially the same thing. You just have the card in hand, and you're not going to get a trash near mint copy with scratches on the back. You're going to be able to spot that out and save that, not have to make that transaction and then resell it for, either break even or a slight loss on eBay after fees.
You got to put a value on that.
Yeah, you're kind of just doing your thing, and yeah, that's the value. Like and like Spat said, I'd rather pay more to
Yeah.
know that the card I'm gonna hit is gonna hit 10. Because even like, you can go after some of the cards, like your margin's not that much. You know it's gonna sell. It's an easy sell. You just need to make sure you hit a 10 on it. So you really need to be
Yeah.
careful on some things.
Can
But
we
yeah,
hit what Desi said?
This made it seem like because you were saying the guy purposely doesn't grade, right? So,
Right. So he's saying that
but he
when
said
he
if I grade
vends on
cards, I'm
his
not
worst
leaving
night.
tens raw in his binder. Like if he's vending, I think.
Right. So
Yeah.
I totally get that because when I vend or when I did vend, I'm probably never going to vend like ever. Maybe a New Jersey this year I do. Who knows? It's up in the air. I just really enjoyed being free and being able to go make my money effectively buying. Like I can go make the same amount of money buying than I would on my, gross profit selling.
Yeah.
So why not be free? But besides that point, like I used to hate that too. But the thing is, I was incredibly upfront with people who were coming to buy from me. Like, if you see slabs, I almost wanted to like put a sticker on my binders. Like, if you're going through this to grade, like, I've already
Yeah.
done a pretty damn good job, I think, at pre-grading. Now, I could be wrong, but
Well, I feel like that people should kind of know that at this point. Like if I have a table that's 2 cases full of graded cards and a table that has a couple binders of the exact same cards, like I think people should be able to kind of suss out that, I've picked through those and I've graded the ones that are gradable and here are the ones that are more like collector copies or binder copies or whatever. But what's up,
yeah,
chef?
but I would also say like
take your
for
shot on it
example,
too, because I've bought and stuff from people who have
yeah,
tons of graded
correct.
shit out there, and I still catch 10s, baby.
Oh,
So
you'd
again,
probably
Literally
like
pull a
bought.
bunch of tens
you're
out of
gonna
my
you're
binders.
you're gonna have someone who
I'm
grades
too
super hard.
strict.
Like I
Yeah.
assume that Spat is strict. I'm also very strict, but
Hmm.
like I doubt people are as strict as I am. So when I go, I see stuff. It's like,
Yep.
all right, because like, and really, I think centering scares a lot of people. Centering, like, you can have a lot of wiggle room with that, believe it or not,
That's my
and
biggest
and
one. Yeah.
it's centering because
Yeah.
usually you just have to be careful because there is a certain point where, like, if it looks bad to your eye, don't send it. If it looks good, like, yo, that's a good copy, even if it's a little off, then you're probably good. But there are a
Yeah.
lot of cards out there that are in those kind of binders where the people have a ton of PSA 10s, ton of slabs and stuff, and then there's still juice in those binders. So don't be afraid to look at those either, because I feel like that's
Yeah.
an untapped resource, and I find a lot of good stuff in those binders.
And I've
I
had I've had a lot of raw buys come in from Japan like 2 weeks before a show, and I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna flip these now, and then I'll look over
right.
whatever's left after the show. So there's there's many times in which that can happen, and I do want to say because Desi says I feel like at local shows it's doable, can be efficient, but bigger shows, big dogs are better at sifting through inventory. A lot of the a lot of the people at like Atlanta Collecticon are probably Atlanta card shops. A
I
lot
was
of those
literally just
places
going to say
are
that.
local. So the local stores, a lot of local stores don't grade. I mean, ask Mason. Mason doesn't grade anything, and I'm sure they have PSA 10s all up and down that store. So it's like those are the places that you're gonna find. There are some booths that travel everywhere, like Bulb Store, and there are big like streamers and Vortex and all that stuff that go to every show. But at the same time, a lot of the booths are just local people. So
Yeah, and I would argue that everybody has almost everybody. If you have a decent amount of raw at your table, there's a 10 there. Like even if you have 100 tens in your other case, like there's
Oh
a
yeah.
10 there somewhere. Now,
yeah,
will you find it? Will you buy the right one? Maybe not. But I've bought plenty of cards. I took a couple of chances in Houston. Bought like a Giratina V Alt Art. The guy had 4 Giratina V Alt Art pens in his case. I just tended like it's possible. Was it likely? No, but I took a shot. It was off center, but it still got the 10. Like it, it's totally possible. Not to pick
yeah.
on Desi, but it's
No,
like
yeah, yeah.
it.
It's good to.
A
And
lot of those big
and it,
dogs that we call aren't really like everybody misses stuff, and people have different tolerance for what they send.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
It's just
definitely.
getting a feel for everything, guys. It's really, again, I say it all the time. I say it on my pod. Just learn as much as you can, and just apply what you learn to the craft, and you'll do well. Trust your gut. I get it. I'm just being a brat about it. It's all right, Desi.
I'm not
Listen,
even
yeah,
calling you out about it. I like that is like the general consensus, and that's how I used to feel. But after doing it for a little bit, it's like there's opportunity everywhere.
Yeah.
there are piles of money everywhere at those
Yeah.
shows, and you just need to Scrooge McDuck yourself into one of them. That's
Yeah.
it. Like that's it. Like literally, like think of those tables as big, huge piles of money, and it's there to grab. And if you know what you're doing, you can do well for yourself. It's there's a reason why Spatt flies and has 21, 22-hour days to do this. So I
Yeah.
mean, there's reasons why Ray will send me to Collecticons. That there's validity in that that statement. So just do your thing, learn as much as you can. Just think of everything as an opportunity, and put it in the vault of learning and do your thing, man.
Yeah, you got to think of it like a learning experience too. And
That's it. Yeah,
Most
if
of
you
the
walk
stuff
up
in
to a
this hobby is
table,
trial and error. Like,
that's
yeah.
it.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
And you're gonna get beat up too. Like it's gonna happen. Something bad's gonna happen to you at some point, and it's gonna suck. And you're gonna be like, "Oh no, what just happened?" And you just got to take it and learn it and move on from it. Because if you don't, you'll never make it in the hobby.
Yeah, and you
There,
got to
there,
look at your upside downside risk. That a Giratina, like, what's my downside? I spent $15 a grade and I lose. I sell it at market and I lose 10%. I lose $50, or at the time $50. But my upside is plus $500.
you're cracking that Sumbrion, right, Ray, and selling that ish raw 1,000%, right? Because that's what we need to do with that. Oh
That's
man,
the streaming
PSA
special.
7. That's a near mint copy.
Yeah, it's a streaming
Don't
special.
laugh, chef. Like, dude, like that. If we could sell that on stream, pump that up. Oof, that's rough,
There you go.
Ray. Dude,
all
yeah,
right, we
it's
got
one.
we,
Oh, it's one of our whatnot buyers. Oh, they returned it to us? I don't know. Talk to me later about it, Ray. Maybe I'm reading this wrong.
all right. We got another question from Son of a Merc. This is an interesting one. How do you guys pay yourself versus the budget of recycling inventory? So, do you take any money out of your hobby, or do you put it all back in and recycle it back into inventory?
Do you want to go, Kevin? Seriously?
Yeah, so I actually talked to Spatt about this at lunch. Like I have been taking a lot of my personal stuff and moving it. Oh, I graded it for him. Oh, woof. That's a bummer, Ray. Yeah, been taking a lot of Pokemon Center ETBs, stuff like that. For the first couple of years, I wasn't really taking stuff out, but I've been taking stuff out here and there, and applying it to certain areas for financial freedom and all of that stuff. I think Java just went through that journey himself. I obviously listen to Catch 'em All Collectibles a lot. I told Spatt, like, this hobby has made me more financially focused than I've ever been in my entire life. I'm in the best financial situation I've ever been in my entire life. I'm laid off right now, and my wife obviously has a job. I have a sugar mama, but like, we're not stressing. And like, it's nice to not have to stress when you're like financially secure about stuff. And Pokemon has been a big part of that for me. Being able to dip into that and take stuff out and move it where you got to move it, has been nice. It's been very nice. Like I can't lie. Like it's definitely changed my life financially. It's still helping me out. And it's just it's a very cool way to, make yourself feel secure. I mean, Java bought himself a whip with it, which is awesome. Like just doing stuff like that. So for the first couple of years, it was just a constant turn and burn. But I've been pulling stuff out. But I want to get to the point where I soon that's not going to be a thing again. It was kind of just a short term thing. Like, let's juice the coffers and do what we got to do. But yeah, for the most part, if I'm selling, it's kind of just recycling. You don't want to touch your personal funds. You kind of just want to leave Pokemon to Pokemon. And that's been like the big thing. Like I go on trips with Pokemon, like going to Chicago. That's going to be paid by Prismatic Evolution's Pokemon Center ETB case. Like that stuff gets paid for. and that's how I travel about the country now. It's with Pokemon. So it's
Yeah.
I do take it out for that stuff. I don't have a crazy collection myself. But yeah, it kind of goes both ways for me. I'm kind of all over the place. Yeah, like that's without getting too crazy into everything. That's kind of
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I'm same. I mean, I've been using it for just like upgrades to life, I guess you could say. I had car trouble last year for the first time. My car started breaking down as a chronic issue. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to buy a new car. And I bought a car. At the end of the year, I paid it off, all with basically Pokemon money. And then, I don't know. It's like I bought a new couch
Golf clap to
recently.
that. Golf clap to that.
Yeah. Because it was like, I have a cracked case. I have 11 boxes of Pokemon 151 Japanese, and I had a local show, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to go to the show, and I know the couch that I want is this much money. I'll just sell on Saturday until I get that much money, and then I'll peace out and go buy the couch. And that's what I did. And I sold a case of 151 boxes and some other stuff, and I went and bought a couch.
It's a beautiful thing.
So and yeah, so now I'm just working on taking a little bit here and there to pay off debts. Still have some student loan debt, stuff like that, and just trying to knock all that stuff out. And yeah, just letting it fuel
The buckets,
financial
bro.
freedom, basically. Yeah,
Seeing those buckets over and over again really makes you think about some stuff.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And yeah, no, and it's good though. Like, because some people look at that and say, oh, we're grandstanding here a little bit, like, and I know people think of like that. Like, people get upset when people start talking about where you should be putting your money. And when you can get past that and like understand like that kind of information is super helpful for you, and understanding how someone is successful because they do things like that, it definitely changes your like brain chemistry when it comes to cash. Like, growing up, my cash situation in my like family was, to me, I thought was great, but when you grow up and realize what was going on, like, you're like, oh
Yeah.
no. And like, you never really learned how to deal with it. So I was really bad with cash when I was in my 20s, early 20s. It wasn't good. I met my
Yeah.
wife and things got better. I turned my life around with all that kind of stuff. And now, like, this is the level up. Like, listening to to books on tape, financial podcasts and stuff. Now, like, just trying to figure out life and see what you can do and how you can make your life better by not, like, being in debt sucks.
Oh
Who
yeah.
wants to be in debt? Like, being in debt is scary. It's stressful, constant. Like, you don't need that in your life, and you don't have to have it in your life if you don't want to have it. Like, there's ways to get out of it and ways to do what you got to do, and Pokemon could be that way for you. You don't have to take
Yeah.
everything and roll it back into Pokemon. You can take some gains, and I think Son of a Merc said, "So would you say you take for necessity and here and there for pleasure?" Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure is me going to Collecticons. Necessity is me
Travel.
making sure that the bills are paid and that we're not in debt. Like, that's, you just don't want to do that.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
like
I think my last two trips to Japan were because of Pokemon. Like I wouldn't have been able to afford. Well, it would have taken me a lot longer to try and get there, and to like being able to just say, to get to the point where you can just say, next month I'm gonna fly to Japan, and you just book all the tickets, and it puts a little dent in your finances, but not one that you're like, oh God, I had 6 months, I'm gonna have to recover from this shit. It's just like the first time I went to Japan, I had to save for like a whole year, and it was like, okay, I gotta take my paycheck, I gotta put like $150 away a month, and then I'll get to the point where I can pay for the ticket, and then how am I gonna figure out all this other stuff? But now it's like, I want to go to Japan next month, book the tickets,
yeah,
sell some cards. Like it's just I don't know. There's a freedom to it, and yeah, I mean, similar with you, Bierski. Like growing up, you don't think about it because you're not responsible for it. So like you feel like you have everything that everyone else has and all that stuff, and but then once you have it, it's like, damn, this is actually really nice. It's like the
yeah,
financial. I don't know what they call it, financial freedom, or
Yeah.
like
Fire.
having a
Yeah.
Security. Yeah, financial security.
It's nice. Like,
Yeah.
our furnace blew up last year. Paid for that bad boy in cash.
Yeah.
Like, it's nice being able to do stuff like that. Like, yeah, that wasn't fun. That sucked. It was a lot of money, but I didn't have to worry about financing a furnace
Yeah.
that like is a necessity for you to like heat your house. So like it it's crazy, man. Like, just
Yeah, and
being able to have that security is so nice. And like,
yeah.
you think about it like, oh, I could do this with this, or I could put this money away. And putting the money away is probably the better option most of the time, because you're gonna need it, and if you don't have it when you need it, like, it sucks. And
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people, like, I think I just read something today, like, people are having more trouble paying their debt now than ever.
We could go down and down that line. We can attach that to
Everything. Yeah, dude.
Everything.
It's just wow. What's up, Tort? How you doing?
Just keep the donuts
Bitcoin's
coming,
still
Java. That's
cheap,
critical.
Grace Arceus.
I'll quickly answer the question. I don't take anything from Pokemon. I've just been recycling all of the profits from the past few years. So that covers everything I need, plus
You travel
more.
with it though, right? To events and stuff. You travel with Pokemon money.
Yeah, but that's
You
just
do
like,
that.
okay, it's $200.
It's still business
$300.
related,
Like,
yeah.
it just comes out of the business account. I don't really think of it like spending, business funds to go on like a vacation type of thing. I'm spending business funds to go perform business. Like,
Right.
that's the whole point of it. I like to think of myself as like, again, I can go on a tangent with finances. I don't know if it's like I was scarred when I was younger. I didn't grow up with like the most money in the world. So ever since I was young, I kind of understood the value of a dollar. I've said it a few times already in this live. Like, I'm always very frugal, still very frugal. I've gotten a little bit better now that I'm in a better, like.
Do your family yell at you for not spending money? They're like, why don't you get a nicer apartment? Why don't you like do X, Y? Why don't you have a bed frame? Why don't you have? It's like, I don't need that stuff.
Yeah,
like, come on.
I get like, oh, go buy some new T-shirts. Like,
Yeah.
I have 100 T-shirts upstairs that are like totally fine.
Exactly.
So I'm lucky enough where I've gotten to a point, and like no debt, like zero debt at all. Just pay half a mortgage, and like just like Dan says, I got all my buckets completely filled to the point where they're overflowing at the end of the year. Always have since I was young. So I luckily knew that young enough, but like every time Dan says something like that, like I've messaged Dan on the side plenty of times, be like, yo, finance channel, like, please, because that's like my like ASMR. Like, I love that stuff. Even if I know the stuff that they're talking about, like, I just want to listen to it for some reason. It kind of like soothes me for some reason.
Yeah.
But what he's saying on these lives and in his videos, like, he is doing, not to be like over the top, but like, it's like the Lord's work for some people. Like, he just saying that, I'm not saying like trying to gas him up or anything, but he could really help a lot of people out just by saying some of those things. Like,
he's
it is
helped me
really
out by
important.
just saying
like,
those things. Like, he is one of the main reasons why my finances are better, is listening to that content. It's wild.
I have people I work with, and I'm just like, why aren't you taking the company match? Why aren't you doing this, that, and the other? Like, you're buying. I see you go and buy $6 of energy drinks, right? But you say you don't have money. Like, but 1+1 does not equal 2 right now. So you're not doing the right thing. So Dan, like, pushing that is like super, super helpful to a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it will pay off. If anybody like I don't think anybody's goal in life is to work for the rest of their life.
Well, and don't be afraid to treat yourself too. Like anyone.
For sure.
Like
absolutely.
If you need, a new laptop for your eBay listings, if you need if you want to upgrade from your shitty laser print whatever to a nice, Rollo printer, like don't be afraid to use some of that Pokemon money to upgrade your business too, because that's only going to make you more money at the end of the day.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Some of those type things. So yeah.
Yeah.
Plus, it's just, and don't be afraid to flex a little bit. If you're like, hey, you know, I sold all my ponchos and I bought a car, like, say it. Because that's cool. That's awesome.
Get a big poncho sticker.
You should feel good about that, and don't let
definitely.
people make you feel like shit for flexing a little bit when you do something cool like that.
It's a
That's
weird
just
spot to
jealousy.
be in.
That's just jealousy. People are jealous of what they don't have, the work that they don't put in, that they want to just have it handed to them. Like,
It's all about the work and doing it.
It's about the work and doing it and learning it.
The same
Like, people don't take time to learn anything. That's why you see people in and out of this hobby all the time. Like, the ones that are taking the time to learn and do the work and all that stuff, stay and enjoy it and gain from it. And it, like, changes your life. And this is with most things in life. Like, this isn't just about Pokemon. This is anything.
Yeah.
You quit something in a month because you're not a master at it. Bro, like, 10,000 hours. You become an expert at something. Quote unquote expert. 10K hours. It takes time to be good at something. And guess what? When you're good at it, you're still going to mess up.
There's always
You're still going to learn something from it. So you just got to keep going with it. People don't want that, though. We live in a time and place now where it's instant gratification.
Yeah.
I talked to my daughter's going to be 14 at the end of March, month and a half, 14 years old. She'll be in high school next year. And we have conversations already about things like that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but I don't think a lot of people are having those conversations. It's crazy.
It's like taboo almost.
Yeah.
It's difficult too, because I'll get questions on some videos that I make where I talk about like how much money I make, like the top flips videos or whatever. I'll get some questions that are like, how do you find all these PSA 10s? Or when I used to go through the whole spreadsheet, it was, can you send me the template to your spreadsheet and stuff? And I would just comment and be like, this is really easy to set up. Like, you should learn how to do this. You should learn how to open sheets and set up these really basic formulas and stuff, because you can do a lot with this. Like, if you learn how to do it and I don't just give it to you, like, you're gonna come away with so many more skills to upgrade your business. And with the sourcing stuff, it's like, I could tell you where I buy stuff, but you're not probably gonna have the 30 hours a week to find all these cards like I do. Like, it's just like, it gets difficult when people are just like, tell me where the magic, place is to buy all these amazing, PSA 10s or whatever, and give me all the formulas and your profit sheets and all that stuff so that I can, formulate stuff. And it's like I learned so much from putting this stuff together. Like, you should go through that too, because it's only going to help you.
Give a man a fish and he eats for a day. Teach a man a fish and he eats forever. Like, everyone just wants a fish.
No.
Like, that's it. Like, no one wants to learn how to fish. You just need to learn how to fish and you'll be all right. So take the time. And listen, you may not make a lot of money and some people do. Some people hop right into this hobby and make a ton of money. I will consider myself one of the people who probably hasn't made a ton of money in this hobby. I do well. It's nothing crazy. Like, I'm not living off of it. You know what I mean? Like, obviously you can supplement a little bit, but learn. Like, you learn as much as you can and keep learning, because one day, like, I'm going to take all of this and have like one big evil villain year where I just go through and I'm slaying stuff. Like, I can't wait for that year to happen. It's coming. I just want to have a knowledge base. Like, that's the thing. Like, you got to learn what you're doing. Like, I went through a 4-year apprenticeship to become an iron worker. I still learn stuff daily when I do work. Things that make your craft better. So just learn and apply it. Yeah. Gengar, what's up?
Yeah, it's I mean, we talked about it earlier. A lot of this is trial and error. But people want the outcomes without doing the trial and error and learning, especially when it comes to like pre-grading and stuff like that. It's like, oh, how do I get a PSA 10? It's like, you got to send out like 50 cards.
Cards, bro.
Like, and some people will say like
shit on some of them.
Yeah, some people say like, how do you know when to send stuff to CGC versus PSA versus BGS? Like, you got to send 50 cards to each of them and learn their grading scales and stuff. And I'll do my best to tell you what I do, but without the trial and error, it's going to be really hard for you, when you get cards in, to understand where stuff's supposed to go, or where stuff, where you want to send stuff. But yeah, it's.
I mean, I've done this for a decent bit now. I've asked Java questions. I ask random Discords questions, like when somebody's talking about something and I just want to pick their brain about it. Like, there's your opportunity to, you know, learn a little bit about their business. That's
E-Unit. On that note, what should I buy? Thanks, guys.
Shrouded Fable ETBs.
Yeah.
Nothing could go
E-Unit is
wrong.
the man. E-Unit is the man for letting me in.
No, E-Unit's great, yeah.
Can I share a story about Collecticon that I didn't share on Box Nostalgia that I just wanna tell everyone? So obviously I took an Uber from the hotel to
I know exactly what he's gonna say.
to the airport to the hotel. So I wake up on Saturday feeling great. Like I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna get an Uber. I'm gonna go to the venue. I get downstairs. Lo and behold, there's some Lime scooters around. Thinking, sweet, Lime scooter me up.
God.
I get on the Lime scooter. I'm cruising around Atlanta like a G. I get down close to the venue. The roads start getting worse. The sidewalks start getting worse. There were two ladies on the sidewalk. They were walking down the sidewalk. I am now trying to get up the sidewalk and keep going. Well, I didn't want to hit them. So I like swerved a little bit and I hit the curb with the scooter and I went flying through the air like Superman. At 9 o'clock in the morning, the scooter whipped around and hit me in the Achilles tendon. I had a big swollen ankle. It was ridiculous, dude. The ladies looked at me like I was a bum crackhead on the street that rented this scooter. I had people stop their cars and were staring at me through their car windows. It was one of the more embarrassing. I didn't hurt myself that bad. Like I caught myself. I got up and I was like, woo! And they just all looked at me like I was nuts. So I don't know. That was my most exciting, crazy story from Atlanta Collecticon.
That's like, was it Nick, old school Pokemon, that ran into or biffed on a scooter a few years ago at a Collecticon too?
Dude, you eat it so hard too. Those things go 17 miles per hour. No helmet. You're just hauling ass.
Yeah, my brother and I use them when we're in Seattle, but it's so scary because like if you're in the city and you're busting down a sidewalk, there are so many like out ramps for parking garages that it's freaky because people will be coming out of parking garages and not see you and you're going, 15 miles per hour, 10 miles per hour on a scooter. Yeah, it could be pretty scary on them things. But okay, can we talk about Tag? Should we talk about Tag?
That's the new best trading company. Let's go. I'm so excited.
I didn't see one Tag slab the whole time I was in Atlanta Collecticon.
You're going to see so many next Collecticon.
Are we?
I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are starting to send there just based off of a couple of comments I'm reading everywhere. Discord, here.
But why?
They may be getting flooded a little
Deep
bit.
Pocket Monster just made a gigantic short sending to Tag.
Yeah, but
he missed a 10 by 1 point out of 100. Apparently,
it was 1,000.
Oh, it was a.
Is it 1,000 point scale?
It's a 1,000 point scale. So he had a 949.
949.
Out of
so stupid.
He needed 950 to get a 10.
I have a question for you guys regarding that. Would you rather get a 9 without knowing the company reason as to why you got the 9, or would you rather get a 9 by a single arbitrary point on a 1,000 point scale? Which one would piss you off more?
I would rather not know, but like there's been things like where those cards you've seen it, like we've all looked at them. Greeny's card 10, there was a dent in it.
Yeah,
like so they're talking perfect edges on cards. There are no perfect anything in life. That's why, like, out of 1,000 scale, when you're seeing 1,000 out of 1,000 points on an edge or 1,000 out of 1,000 points on a surface, like, what in life is perfect? There's nothing that perfect. So those scales are as arbitrary as anything else. And you got a computer saying it that doesn't have eyeballs. So, like, when I'm looking at stuff, but it's AI, bro. Yeah, I know. And who cares? And it's been said before, who trains that AI? Dopey humans. Yeah. Dopey humans train that AI.
It all traces back to human.
It all traces back to us.
I wish I could.
Unless we can ask ChatGPT, like ChatGPT, can you figure out a new way to grade cards that is better? Maybe they'll do something. Maybe the AIs will start talking to each other. But it's those who know. I don't trust tag. Yeah,
I don't know
Father,
why he doesn't trust tag, but
I mean, I don't think he's gonna say it, but with a comment like "those who know." Like I don't trust tag either. I just don't like it. I didn't like the fact that they graded that Charizard first edition that had 2 freaking print lines running through it, and it got a 10. Like that stuff I don't like, especially when you're grading and so your surface is good, but there's 2. Oh no, it wasn't the Charizard. It was the Illustrator Pikachu. It had 2 vertical print lines running through it, almost side by side, and the surface got like a crazy high score.
Yeah, I don't think it does well with Surface at all. I sent my like test for them. I think it was like 7 months ago or something. I sent a bunch of like lower grade PSA and CGC cards, and they all came back like 8s, 9s, and 10s, and they were like 6s and 7s, and they had like super obvious dents that got 10s and stains on the front of cards that got 10s.
That's the perfect example.
Yeah,
Greeny could have been the most evil person. Not evil. Green. That would have been evil. Like I would have sold that card as a 10. Like what the hell? Like
there is a celebrations or a Japanese 25th anniversary Charizard tag 10 out there that has a giant dent in it. Because I just auctioned that shit. I was like, I'm just gonna send it to auction, whatever.
I have a 10.
Yeah.
And never notice, because you know what, that Creature Zapdos card, you know what you're not noticing unless you're looking for it, was that dent. That's why the stupid camera didn't pick it up. That's why the AI didn't pick it up. You literally had to hold it. I remember I had that tag slab in my hands in Orlando. It was in my possession, and I was looking at it. And you really have to maneuver it to see it. So
I wish I could show you the graph. So Pat Flynn.
Can you see the dent on when you do the slider? Does it show up?
No, it doesn't.
Oh, of course not.
There was a card with 2 pinhole dents that showed up on the dings report. The card got a 10. It didn't flag anything on the surface that was wrong. There was a Dragonite that had a stain on the front where the hollow pattern should have been. There was like a little stain piece that didn't show up at all. Said service was totally fine. Like it just wasn't catching shit. This was like 6 or 7 months ago, so who knows?
I bet you're still not catching that stuff. People are still sending. It's never going to be the number 1 grading company. It's never going to be the number 2 grading company. It's going to be for the people. It's going to be for the people who like AI. Like I want to be like SpongeBob right now and just be like, oh AI, like you know what I mean? Like that's what it's like. Like what are we doing here?
I wish I could show you the graph for views on my video after Pat released that short this afternoon. I think he must have released it at like 2 p.m. between like 2 and 3. I've had like, I don't know, like 1,000 views in the last 7 hours after that short release. Like I wonder
what Greeny's video's doing.
I don't know. I mean, it's been spiking for a while, this video. Ever since the beginning of the year, I feel like all of a sudden interest in tag, and it's very different. There will be people who are like, "Wow, I'm really glad I saw this video. I'm not going to buy or grade or do anything with tag." And then there's some people that are like, "Well, it's a 1,000-point scale, and some of those 10s are probably lower on the closer to 950. So I don't think 2 pinhole dents on the back should really keep it from getting a 10." And everyone trying to make all these different excuses for them at the same time as like other people saying, "Hell no, not going to happen." I don't know, but thanks, Pat. I'm going to get a lot more views on that video, I guess.
Oh, Father. Is it legit sale if a card is purchased for a record-breaking price from someone who has vested interest in the grading company?
No, absolutely not. That's just
that brings back stuff too. Like,
wasn't there the guy that owned Wada? Didn't he buy? There was something to do with the people who owned Wada Games, and it was like, oh man, I don't remember what it is now. It was something to do with conflict of interest of someone selling Wada stuff and then buy. I don't remember, but it sounds very similar to this, maybe.
Like Matt Quinn grading Chumley's cards right in front of him and giving them 10s on stuff. Like,
well, they do that at shows.
I'm gonna take a swing and say that Polefather knows that somebody shilled a tag card, and that's kind of stemming the question towards tag. So maybe like he's arguing that tag shouldn't get a premium or anything like that. My only argument would be with the whole tag piece in general would be like I don't have enough of an opinion to like hate or like or not like. I've made plenty of jokes in Discord about CGC. Like I just sent my first CGC sub last month for the first time in a year. But like I've never hated CGC. I hate that they don't get the prices that PSA gets, and I'll wait the extra month to get PSA prices. But no, if it's shilled, it's shilled, and no, it shouldn't be given a premium. Now, I think that tag is going to have its place for graded cards. It's going to have its market because there already is a small little market where, like, I'll stem it to being at Collecticon this past weekend and hearing that somebody say that PSA is the best grading card company because they are the strictest grading company. You can be confident that that card is a 10 because it's a PSA 10. It's the best looking card.
Did you laugh at them when they said that?
No, listen,
did you look at them? Did you and Nelson laugh like, ha ha, like what? What?
It was a vendor too. And we can stem that back to like, okay,
was he selling the PSA card?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Then it was
okay. He was not selling the PSA card to somebody. He was talking about grading and how like this one person doesn't trust other grading companies like CGC. They were talking about the test print cards. Which has been talked about enough at this point, I feel. He's talking about, you could trust PSA, best grading quality, this and the other one. I'm like, dude, I can show you some disgusting PSA 10s that are just like awful, and they wouldn't even come close to getting a CGC 10. Like,
I mean, they all have issues. Yeah.
They all have issues, and people have like they get their mind set on something, and I think a lot of people are going to get their mind set on AI is the way, tech is the way.
I think there's a lot of that.
Tag is doing, I guess, a better job than AGS because AGS has been doing this for I think longer than Tag, but AGS just hasn't really caught fire. So Tag's doing something.
AI
I think
means
Tag has
robot.
Yeah.
AI means robot means consistency in people's brains for some reason.
Now,
but
it may mean consistency, but is that scale good enough? Like you said, it may be consistent. It may always grade that dented Charizard 25th anniversary a 10. It may always grade it a 10, but that means that the system itself is flawed because it's grading that card a 10. It's got a dent in it. It may be incredibly consistent, but the scale isn't good enough. The AI isn't good enough. The grading scale, however they're doing their scans, the scans aren't good enough. Whatever they're doing, they need to have better quality there. Now, I sent off my first tag sub this week, and I'm very excited for it. And it's just another avenue to move cards. That's literally it. I don't care about anything enough to like not try something or not use a service. Like,
there's a time and a place for every grading card company.
Right. If Tag fraudulently did something and was like a really awful company, like if CGC never pays out any of these test print cards, like I'll join the flash mob. I'll join the mob of not using them. That's fine. Like, but they're going to pay out. Like I'm fairly certain, like they're not going to just not do that. They're not going to destroy their business. It would destroy their business one way or another. So I would hope that I would hope that they're going to do the right thing. So I'll continue to use them. Tag hasn't shown me that they haven't done anything wrong. And there's clearly, you can check eBay last solds. I've been kind of tracking as much as I could in the past couple of weeks just to kind of gauge whether or not I wanted to send a sub. And sure, there's probably 100 PSA cards selling for every one tag card, but there's a market for tag cards. You can believe that. Absolutely, there is. So if there's a market for it, I'm gonna try it, especially with the turnaround time. Like if you can get me cards back in a week, I'm gonna try it. Why not?
And they definitely got some juice. Like I said, they graded an Illustrator Pikachu. They graded a first edition Charizard like right off the rip, guys. So like there were some big names.
Have some sort of.
There were some big names attached to them. Yeah.
Did you see that somebody cracked a Poncho Ray, and PSA 10 to a tag 10.
Yep. See, Paul Father got connect some dots. I mean that's it. Like, and I remember when. Yeah, it's what it is. Like it is what it is. It gained more traction than AGS. It was a new flashy thing. Again, bigger names attached to it, big cards being pumped through it. And to say what Suge Nasty said here, they're talking about the grading pods and LGSs. I doubt you ever see those. I can't see because first of all, the LGS owner is not going to know what they're not going to train their people on that. If there's an issue with your card, imagine your card goes in there and just gets mangled. Like, what are we doing now?
Yeah,
Now
I
you gotta
mean,
deal with that whole thing.
GameStop kind of
can't-
put that to bed with just being able to walk into GameStop and hand cards over and walk away. Like, why have a pod in an LGS?
You'd have better odds of PSA or Tag or any of these grading card companies opening up their own storefront rather than like actually providing the service themselves, rather than middlemaning it with some sort of there's one grader here at GameStop just sitting here grading your cards. Like, that will never work. If PSA decides they want to open up a 10,000 square foot facility where you can walk in and like a Collecticon, walk up to a booth, drop your cards off, and have them graded right on site, maybe that happens. I doubt it ever happens. Maybe Tag opens
start
up
our own grading company. We collectively have as much we probably have more grading experience as a group than a lot of people that grade these cards for us. Like we could literally be the gold standard of grading if we wanted to, if we like sat down and made a plan.
And
like we literally could be.
We could prove that too. And we could prove that. We could get 100,000 of us. Literally. We could get 1 million of us. Every single person in all these Discords, every single person in all these lives, all these people that have graded thousands and thousands and thousands of cards. We could get all of us together, create this company, fund it, have all the backing in the world, and never beat PSA.
Oh wait, no, we would never beat PSA ever. No. I'm in fantasy land right now.
No, but I just think it's a fun thing to think about. Like, we could objectively prove that we are the most consistent, perfect grading company out there, and we would never be able to beat out probably even CGC. Like, no, I don't think so.
Just don't grade non-real cards. You'll be all right. Instantly better.
Yeah.
Instantly better. This seems fishy.
Maybe
we shouldn't grade these.
Do you guys how like at what point would you not use a grading company? Like,
if they stop selling,
when they're bankrupt,
right.
When they stop selling,
it's a means to an end.
If CGC doesn't pay out, are you going to stop?
No,
not
if they're still $9 and people are still paying premiums for pristines.
Right. So that's kind of where I'm at with Tag. Like, I think I probably would never use CGC again if they didn't pay out. I probably wouldn't. I'll just start using Tag. Like, if Tag's going to replace that, they'll replace that. But like every grading company has its place, and I'm excited for my first Tag sub to come back.
All of these are going to CGC, right? All of these.
Yeah.
This is like the next. I have a smaller stack.
I only stopped using them because I was doing a lot of in-person stuff, and I'm sure Java's seen it. Everybody's seen it. People walk up to your booth, you're selling it anywhere, and it's not PSA. It's not PSA. I just got sick and tired of honestly hearing that. But now that I'm shifting away from that,
when I go to shows, it's is this all Japanese?
Yeah,
yes.
Exactly.
Okay, that sucks, and then they walk away.
Yeah.
Ray goes sauce in the bottle.
What I will say, I said this the other night, and I honestly think I could see this happening, is Grimer mentioning more likely than not, they'll be bought out by PSA or CGC so they can take their technology and raise margins. So if their technology ever got to the point, I feel like that it's actually good and catching all this stuff and is quicker and consistent and all that stuff, I could see, PSA bought SGC, they buy everything. Like, PSA approaching them to buy their technology for certain parts of grading, like, I could see that happening.
And people just, like, if you're going to think of it, like, I try and not think of it as a business as much as I can. Like, I genuinely love this stuff. Like, it's fun. It's realistically more of a hobby than a business it is to me. But, like, if you can churn through, if Tag's going to give me my cards back in 15 days, 20 days, like, they're advertising 10 to 15 days and 3 to 5 days, depending what service you do. PSA's call it 45 to 60 days right now. If you can send 4 subs and get back 4 times as many cards and still even net 20 to 30% less than PSA, which is, I promise you, not the case right now. Like, Tag slabs, they may take a little bit longer to sell, but there's some outpacing PSA because people want this AI technology so much that they're willing to overpay it. So you just got to think of it like you can churn and burn more. If that's the game that you want to play, then it's the way to go. If you want to play the PSA game and you want to always have that PSA premium, and cater towards that, then you gotta play that game as well and sit on your hands a little bit if you don't have that cash flow.
It's honestly perfect for people like me that do like graded return videos, because Tag puts every single slab in a freaking like pack.
Oh my god, they knew what they were doing. Yeah,
it's like they did it specifically for that. But oh my god, that is such a waste to put every slab in a plastic pack. But
it's perfect for YouTube videos though.
Yeah, well, that's
true.
true.
You're opening it up for the 5th time. That card was in a pack. It was in an ETB in a pack. You open up the pack, you put it into some plastic, you put it in some other plastic, and then they put it into some more plastic. It's like, that card has gone through a journey.
Sorry, Earth.
Honestly, and I'm not calling anyone out specifically, even though this is the only person that I've ever seen do it. I did see a live streamer, I'll just say a live streamer, sell the Tag graded packs as like mystery packs, because there's nothing on the outside, so you don't know what card's inside. People got severely wrecked, but they did that, and that was a very interesting way of selling those cards. So yeah,
it's big brain, but at what point is that like?
I mean,
I get to the point. It's like, what are you going to do? People are going to abuse people's thoughts, and like, they're going to click bid. They're going to click bid. Like, if there's more than 2 people that want that thing, it's going to go crazy. Like,
oh yeah. I mean, I think it was like a Tag 8 first edition common or something, and someone paid like $200 for it.
Yeah, because they probably put a min floor of $20, but the ceiling is 1,000. So it's like, I can pay 200 and get 1,000. What? You get so excited.
Sealed my mystery tag pack I bought.
All right, Max. Let's see. So I vended next to Randolph in Atlanta. So is the Randolph the one in the Discord? The Randolph that has been getting tables?
He owns, Ace Grading.
No, I know. I watch his stuff, but I didn't know that was him in the Discord. That's cool. That's awesome that he's doing stuff with us.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. You go up to his table. It's just all Ace slabs.
Yeah,
he's in a weird spot because it's like, you can't. What are you going to sell your competitor? You have no choice but to just have Ace slabs in there.
Yeah,
kind of limits his buying, his like selling, everything. Like,
I mean, it's a great way to put it in front of people in America, though, is to have a full table of them. Yeah,
I would think that's what he's doing. It's more like just like a heavy marketing play.
Yeah,
because I would love to know if he would go like deep into, like, if he could somehow set up somebody in the section like across from him, right? Or maybe like how me and you were in Chicago Java, like caddy corner to each other with the same cards. Like, okay, let's like coordinate. We got 100 slabs, right? They're all 10s. I have PSA and you have Ace. I'm gonna mark mine 10 to 20% more than your PSA. Let's see who sells more.
Yeah,
that would be very interesting to see.
It's so weird how many people look at one table and don't look at the table next to it. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. Like, we saw that.
I'll be honest. I look at his stuff just because I actually think the slabs are pretty. Like, they're very good looking. But like, I would never really have any interest in buying it just because it is what it is. It's a tough market to break into. Very tough.
Yeah. We had that weird experience. We were both selling Bubble Muse, and I think yours were marked a little higher than mine. But you sold out. You sold out, and then I sold out later. But it's like, it's just funny because those same people will go to your table, but not my table, and they might hit that table, but not the other table. Like, in the section, there's just so much, and people just can't hit them all sometimes when there's so much going on.
A lot of that's just luck of the draw. Getting the right person in front of your table at the right time, willing to spend money. And you got to be able to sell. I think having a good attitude, not that you don't, but if you can sell stuff to people and kind of convince them in a way. Like, give them a good deal
Yeah.
here and they'll buy this there. And it's kind of works.
I really want to see an ARS slab in person.
They look awesome. I've seen one at a show actually, and I wish they would become a thing like in the US.
It's just
They're
so
very,
unfortunate because
very-
they don't grade centering at all. So a card can get a 10, and
Is that
it could be.
unfortunate? I love
I mean,
that.
yeah, I think centering is like a big part of how good the card looked. But
But gem mint is like a quality thing. So you think centering is a quality?
yeah, I
Is it a
think off
qualitative
center
or
cards
is
look
it-
worse than centered cards.
Is it so you would call it a qualitative? Because it's a qualitative or quantitative? Because it's quite literally a numbers game.
I would say in
The
terms
center.
of, I'm just going by eye appeal. I think
Right.
because I'm not. I mean, a card
the
has to
genuine
be.
quality of the card, like I don't know how to explain it. Like the
Well,
actual, like is
yeah,
it bent,
no,
is it
like the
creased, is it
physical.
damaged?
Right.
It's
It
not
doesn't
damaged.
have like physical damage,
Right.
but it looks worse.
Yeah. I mean, listen, if PSA did not, it would be a weird world where PSA does not care about centering. Not that they really do. We can get into that
I was
argument
gonna
as whether or
say,
not they do. But like ARS,
Hey,
at this
55-45
point
now, guys.
will grade 70-30 as a 10. Like it could be like that. Was it that off-centered something that Dan pushed out on Instagram? Clearly like 75-25. Like just like it was sent in to get the
Oh,
OC
that hair
grade.
cross.
The hair cross. That's what it was.
Yeah,
That was clearly sent in to get the OC grade, and it got just the basic 10.
I was
So like
peaked
that
juice
card
I
would,
think.
yeah, that would 10 at ARS every single
Potentially.
time, so long as it's a generally a gem mint quality card. It's weird. I selfishly think I'd want that, but maybe I wouldn't.
It's another question of like if you have cards that every single card in manufacturing got the same problem. Like let's say there's a card that was manufactured, every single one that existed had a dent on the back in the exact same spot, it was the same size, every single card had it. Should it still be able to get a 10? Because every single other copy has it.
what, like Masaki promos?
Wait, sorry. Say that again. Say that. So you're talking about like if
Should it be ignored if every copy has it? Should
yeah,
something like that be
I kind of
ignored?
zoned out there. I zoned out there. So you're talking like okay, the Greninja Gold Star promo. That's just like objectively printed awfully. So you're saying
I
like should
mean-
the scale be less? Like if like it's just like a generally like the card is known to come out in bad condition, should it be able to 10 if the quality?
I think it has to be
generally
a
less?
little bit more specific than that. It has to be like every single card has the exact same issue in the exact same spot, like a manufacturing defect. Should it be marked down for the manufacturing defect if every copy has it, or should
Yes.
it be able to 10?
No, not in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't think so either. I think damage
think
is damage
that
even
is-
if every single copy has it.
Yeah, that adds to the allure of grading. Like that is why, objectively, why grading companies should exist. Unfortunately, people put way too much like actual value in just the plastic that it's just not every single card. Like I can tell you that okay, you can go and source. 2 years ago, you could go to the first Collecticon and probably sourced 100 Celebrations Charizards in Gem Mint 10 quality. Like there's so many out there. They just come out of the pack super clean. Yet the premium on a PSA 10 is still a 2x. Like people
Yeah.
don't care. They just want it in plastic. So if they did grade like that, people would still buy it. Even though every single card is going to be in the exact same quality with the same ding, there's still going to be PSA 10 premium in this current market.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, I think I saw did IBEX show? It was the special art rare Umbreon EX from Terrastal Festival. The amount that are already in the population is like it's over 1,000 PSA 10s already.
Dude, it's
Those are
gonna
the cards we want to grade.
It's
Yeah,
going to
you're gonna
be
see so
so insanely like I don't know. The whole pop situation is crazy to me. I do think that pop is going to come into play in the future. I think that people are really Oh, over 10,000. My bad. Over 10,000 already, not over 1,000.
It all depends on how the market realistically goes and how the popularity stays. Yeah, it's a fun argument to think because you'd think a card gets to a certain point and it just loses value. But like
Yeah.
Moonbrion's a crazy example. It's like how can a card with I don't even know what the pop is at that point. I genuinely do not pay attention to pop.
The pop of
It's not
Moonbrion's
even,
like 40,000 in a 10 or like
but it's a
35,000 or something
three
like that.
thousand
Yeah, it's
dollar
wild.
card. So the market cap of that card is
It makes no sense
jillions.
whatsoever.
It's like, what are we doing? Like,
Yeah.
there's no argument you can make for me to tell me that there's $40,000 cards out there.
It does make you kind of think. So Shug was in chat. I think he asked the question that I might have missed, but he was on Ibex's channel recently doing kind of like a podcast while Ibex walked through Japan and did some window shopping. And Shug was just like, how do we know that we're not in like a junk wax era right now? The amount that's being printed, the amount that's being graded, the amount that like obviously it's still all being eaten up right now, but what, like, how do we know? How would you know? Like right now, how would you be able to know?
Later?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
you're not
something-
gonna know. There's
That's
no
why I'm
way
not
to know.
holding on to
Maybe-
anything from these generations.
It's either gonna happen or not happen.
Yeah.
I'm leaning
you
towards
gotta think
not in junk wax. I think it's just
there's
not
so many
the
people
same.
that collect different things. Like,
Yeah,
you just have to be right place, right time, collecting the right things at the right price with the right people at the right time. Like, there's a million different things that need to go right for things to happen. I think Pokemon is just like a perfect storm collectible that is just
Do
probably
you
going to
think
be
at
around
some
forever.
point, like, just think about comics. Like comics, the only comics that are like extremely expensive, apart from like one-offs or like variant covers or serialized or whatever they have now in like new comics, but like are the comics from like the 50s and the 60s and like the first appearances and stuff like that. And that's really it. Like you get comics from the 90s unless it's a first appearance of like a super popular character. Like that whole 90s 2000s, even the same with sports cards, 90s 2000s, all the different, I have a couple Randy Moss rookie cards, but guess what? It's not the right refractor of Randy Moss rookie cards, so it's not worth anything. It's like at what point are we just like, you know what? Now everyone has a bunch of Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield era cards, and they're worth nothing. And the only shit that's worth anything are first appearances of popular Pokemon and stuff from the 90s. Like, do we ever get there? Or do we just assume that this is just going to keep on going?
I think Grimer said it best. You only know when the boom ends. You just gotta run with it. If you think like that, you'll never make any moves or any plays ever. You'll be scared to buy or interact with the market at all. I mean, I think you just go with it. We're way better off than Yu-Gi-Oh! We can say that at least. They'll fall first.
No.
Right. Throw those PSA 10 Joe and Hertz cards my way, please.
Woof.
Pretty please. Yeah, I don't think there's in my head, like I try and think as like far ahead as I can with everything that I do, almost to a detriment. Definitely to a detriment in a lot of things. But like trying to think about the future with this stuff is like you're just gonna put yourself into a standstill, and you're gonna just be too scared to do anything.
Yeah.
Like to try and connect it to Collecticon. People are like, "Oh, I'm scared to buy in this bull market because things are doubled." Like, yeah, I could get wrecked on. I mean, I was buying these guys. I was buying these for $15-20 4 months ago. I bought these for $50 in Collecticon. It could go down to $15. You can't tell me because nobody knows. Nobody knows a single thing. There's not a human in this world that knows what Suicune from Crown Zenith is going to be in tomorrow. It could tank tomorrow. There's no telling.
That's why I flip and I don't hold anything really because
you could spend $10,000 on buy E tonight and it could all come down. And then tomorrow, we all will never know. Now it could, it won't, it literally will not, but it could. We don't know.
I mean,
It's
all
just
you need is one significant demand shift, and 40,000 Moonbryons is going to cause that card to crash the fucking floor. It would just, but it would take a lot because the demand for that card is a lot. It would take a lot for that to happen, but you can't really act like it's could never happen, right? There would still have to be a little bit of like, yeah, maybe I shouldn't hold this card that's literally like, yeah, it's going up, and then but maybe now is a pretty good time to sell because there's 40,000 in the pop, and a shift in demand could drastically change the trajectory of this card.
yeah,
Um,
it's a scary world.
because it's
We're in.
not
I
rare.
literally
There's no rarity in any card that's coming out in the last 4 years.
no,
None of
but you
this is
know what?
rare.
I had a tough problem. I handed off some slabs, and this is another great thing about going to these Collecticons. If you can sign with Z&G Emporium, I'm not sure how many he's going to be going to, but he was luckily in Atlanta, so I handed him off a stack of slabs. It was actually like, and it wasn't even like part of my collection, but I had at one point a couple of copies of each of the heavy hitter alt arts, and I sold all of them but one, like a couple months ago when they were really really peaking. Um, I gave him the rest of them this weekend, but it was really like tough for me to do that because I'm like, are they going to go up? Like, these are my last ones. I'm realistically not sourcing any more Moonbryons. Like last year, I was sourcing Moonbryons by like the handful, like every week. It was easy. Now it's not as easy, especially when they're 2 grand raw. But it was tough to hand them to him because I'm like, can I predict the market? Is it going to keep going up? Like, I don't know. It could go down to 1,000 though. So do I want to? You got to ask yourself questions like, would you rather hold the bag and lose 2 grand, or would you rather sell it and lose 1,000 of potential gains that you don't even know about?
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
all don't know. We're all just guessing.
Yeah.
The fun part of it though, it's fun. It's also stressful. Like, it's a lot. And just how much money we can go down. I could talk forever about this hobby. I love it so much, but
So
there's a lot of money being spent.
Max had a question before. I think we probably could wrap it up. Do you think any modern collectible card should be more expensive than a first ever printed Vaporeon Japanese Jungle PSA 9 for $70? Yes.
Yeah,
I
I
do.
mean,
I do think that there are some modern cards that should cost more than $70 in a PSA 9 or 10 or whatever. I understand what
mean,
he's getting at. I think he trolls
yeah.
sometimes with this stuff, but
It's definitely a
yeah.
little bit of a troll there, but that's fine because it's
I do think
we,
that certain things
we
with certain
all
fundamentals will be the cream of the crop in 2040, however many years in the future, as long as Pokemon's still kicking. Like, personally, I don't think Moonbryon's going to be one of those cards. I think it's going to be cards from Vintage. Will be the cards that
I think we already kind
Moonbryon
of
could because it
like
defines an era, but
2020
yeah.
was our big vintage like explode. People were like, "Oh man, vintage," and vintage. I'm saying the word wrong there. But now, like, dude, it's modern or bust for almost everything right now. Like, when you can sell like that Skytree Rayquaza for 320, what? Like, why? Why was it only $320 in a PSA 10? Like, yeah, it's booming on the low for sure. Like, there's some stuff, but there's no reason why that Ray is cheaper than an Umbreon. Like, zero in my mind, it makes no sense. Like a Moonbreon, and I mean, I see Spatt saying, yeah, but like, if you're gonna go with that vintage argument, like, it, I don't know. Like, I feel like vintage should be worth more. I don't even think that the Moonbreon is the best card in that set. It's not the second best card. It's not the third best card. It's not the
if we're
fourth
still
best card in
here,
that set.
if we're all still in this in 20 years, I'll clip this.
I'll be
and
here.
I'll keep it.
I'll be here.
I'll clip this and I'll keep it.
Click,
And we'll
keep
because
it.
I honestly think 20 years from now, people will not be talking about Evolving Skies. They'll be talking about base set.
I don't think so.
I don't agree with that either.
I don't agree with that at all. I would not be shocked if Evolving Skies boxes in 20 years are more than a base set box.
Absolutely not.
Dude,
no.
That I don't agree with, Spat. I think
What's
that
a base set box right now? What is a base set box? I don't know.
There's
$17,500. That's what Ray's last base set box, or Dan's last base set box that they ripped was 17.5.
Okay, so that may have been a crazy thing for me to say, but and I say a lot of crazy things.
But that's 75, and that's only base. That's base unlimited. That's not Shadows box, and that's not a base unlimited first edition box either. So like you're talking like I see where like Java is with that. I just think that
there's so much of all these guys still sealed. There's so much of it, and there's already 40,000 of the pull, like of the chase. Why would anyone open Evolving Skies right now to chase a card where there's literally 30 or 40,000 of them out there right now? Just go buy one.
Because we live in a world with a bunch of Looney Tunes.
Right, but a bunch of Looney Tunes also want to chase base set. Because there's only 100 PSA 10 base set Charizards.
I think, and we all know just the same. Nothing. We know nothing.
I think a lot of it is access.
It's all just speculation.
It's also access. I have more. I can go and source an Evolving Skies box in 10 minutes if I wanted to right now. I don't have the access. I don't know who to source a base set box.
I'm sure there's base set boxes on eBay. You can probably do that on eBay.
Oh yeah, but you're gonna buy a base set box off of eBay from someone you don't know?
No.
You're not going to do that even a little bit. Like that's not happening. Like I'd buy a Evolving Skies box off of eBay. That would not bother me. A base set box, zero fucking chance that would ever happen in a million years. I would do that. I would have to go and talk to someone who knows where to source that stuff from, and then work a deal with them because they're going to want a little kitty on the side too for helping me get that deal done. Like it's a barrier to entry. These vintage boxes are a barrier to entry. It's not easy to get your hands on. Like not every Joe Schmo can go out there and do that. That's why those boxes are so high. If they were more abundant, yeah, absolutely, they'd be a little better off. But they were for years and years, and now they're $17,000, and they've only been going up in price. So like that vintage will hold, like that vintage sealed will hold. But like
I just think in 20 years, Moonbryon and PSA 10 is still going to be available on eBay. In 20 years, there's probably going to be 25 more Charizard PSA 10s added to the pop, and you're gonna need to be reaching out to people's DMs to try and buy one because there's no rarity to things coming out right now.
Yeah, I agree on that. I just think that popularity outweighs, like, I may be off point here, I might be off base. I say a lot of crazy things. If I keep going on these lives, I'm probably going to say some crazy things when it comes to these Pokemon debates and stuff like that. But I just think that there's so much more demand for modern, and calling Evolving Skies modern. When did it come out? 2021? Like we're already 4 years out of it. So you're talking 20 years from now, it'll be 25 years old. Like
20 years from now, 20 years of modern sets.
Cool. And modern nerds are better. We could also be having the same conversation where there's a pop 100,000 PSA 10 that's selling for $5K in 20 years. We could be there with a modern set card that's 4 years out because everything gets. We don't know. Like we don't have a magical looking glass. It's just one of those things where we need to kind of just roll with it and see what happens. I see where you're coming from, Spatt, and I see where Java's coming from. And both of you had valid points in the argument. It's just seeing where it happens. Like you can't, if we knew this stuff, like Spatt, if you believe it that hard, like why are you not buying up all the Evolving Skies boxes you can now and tucking them away because they're going to be worth more than base set in 25 years?
Not fun.
Not fun, yeah. Or you just, or you don't believe in that play that much because if you could take 10 grand and do that, just tuck those away, and then they're all gonna 5, 10, 12, 15x. You know what I mean?
I just wonder, like a set that's 25 years into the hobby versus the original set from the hobby. What, like we have sets from, let's say what's half of now. We have sets from 12 years ago. Can I even name a set from 12 years ago? Stormfront, was that 12 years ago? Maybe somewhere in the Diamond Pearl. Maybe like I can't even really pick one that I think stands out amongst the sets from 12 years ago. So in 20 years from now, what's going to make people 20 years from now look back and say, you know what I want? That $10,000 Evolving Skies box from
That's my argument.
20 years ago.
I feel like there's so many people that have more of an emotional connection towards that. But I'm thinking like what is the push off from modern and vintage? Like where at what point are we in vintage? Like going back, what's the first year? Because that's
The
where it gets
first year?
dicey as well. What's the first year of vintage? Like, is it 2012?
Base
Is
set.
it 2011? No, no,
Oh,
no, no, no.
you
First
mean
year going backwards. Like, what's the last year of vintage? You can word it either way.
Grimer says
I don't know.
2019.
I basically say anything before Sun and Moon right now. I'll say it's vintage usually. I guess I say
Okay.
mid era, but I will
It's
wrap that
mid-era,
into
yeah.
vintage. But
Yeah,
Right.
I think I'm with Shug here. WotC is vintage. Skyridge
Yeah.
is the last vintage set.
Okay.
Then you
if I'm
move
like,
on
oh,
from
I bought
that
a
and
bunch of
you're in
vintage,
mid-era.
I may have some mid era in that. But
Right.
But mid-era will change. Like the mid-era, that is gonna evolve.
yeah, the
over
mid era
time.
is weird.
It's
because
going to
it's
continue to
literally-
evolve because I think
it's
vintage
ever
is
expanding.
those first
Yeah.
sets.
Yeah, and we're gonna
Anything
have to
WotC had their
delineate
hands
at
on.
some point some
Yeah,
other
because
things.
it's gonna be like then you're gonna call
Yeah.
it like what the Bronze Age of Pokemon when stuff was terrible. Like we're gonna have to figure some stuff out. Like you got cholera. If you were in Pokemon at this time, you got some
Yeah,
bad
the
stuff
golden
happening.
age. The golden age of Pokemon will be WotC to E series. The
Yeah.
Silver Age will be everything in between. The Bronze Age will be, and then Modern.
And then modern
What does a base first box go for?
17.5. Oh,
The
base
base
first.
couple
Oh,
hundred thousand?
I don't. Yeah, I don't know.
Do any boxes eclipse that?
No.
I don't think so. No.
No. All
And
right.
not even bangers like Skyridge and Aquapolis and
I'm
stuff
so
like
out
that.
of
Like
touch with vintage.
they don't
I'm
touch
out of
that.
touch.
No,
Like
the base first box is the most expensive.
that is the grail. But you look at the prices, like it's just no one's grading them because you can't grade them because it's hard to grade that stuff or harder to grade that stuff. I don't know. It's a fun argument to have. It's good to think about.
Yeah, it's an interesting.
Wow, $270,000 for a base set first box. There's
Right.
zero chance Evolving
I'm trying
Skies
to make an
ever
argument.
flirts with that.
I'm trying to make an
Well, yeah.
argument with
I'm
pricing.
not saying that, but
So we're arguing. I have fun with these arguments. A base box at 17.5 will never be eclipsed by a box after Sun and Moon. Is that an argument that you're willing to make, Java?
I just think that
non-vintage
no.
right now to you in your mind.
I just think that more people will be enamored with base set in 20 years than Evolving Skies.
I'm trying to back up my argument with Evolving Skies being more expensive than base set. I'm trying to push it to just Sun and Moon on. Is there a box that will eclipse in 20 years that you genuinely believe will eclipse base set?
Negative. I do not believe that.
None of them?
I do not think that will happen because
it really depends. It
20
depends.
years
Like
is a long time.
1999,
is there
bro. I
some,
want you
like-
to think about that. 99 when that stuff came out.
I just
That
think,
long
like-
ago.
40-year-olds are the 40-year-olds 20 years from now. So the 20-year-olds right now.
I think the only
don't give
thing
a shit about that.
maybe what's the one with the gold star Rayquaza? Deoxys? Maybe because that's like super rare box, and if there's some affinity for the gold stars 20 years from now because Diamond Pearl kids are growing up and now have money or whatever, like crazy thing we want to say.
Isn't Team Rocket Returns like the most expensive like unlimited box?
I thought it was Deoxys.
One of them with the gold star. Like it's more expensive than base set. It's more expensive than like all of.
Yeah, it's more
everything
expensive
prior.
than regular base set. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
So-
kind of
Okay, so you're
where I'm
saying
going.
you're
Like
saying a
it doesn't
box.
like being old isn't the only just because it's.
I don't think
limited
any modern
and-
box is going to hit 15K in 20 years. Modern box now is going to hit 15K in 20 years. I just
So,
think
like,
there's
Team
too
Up.
much of it.
Team Up won't hit 15K.
Mate,
And I'm not saying that I
know.
believe that. I'm trying to just back up the stupid thing that I said.
Yeah, no, Team Up.
I kind
Team Up
of-
is interesting because it was short printed and then they didn't reprint it, and it has some really great cards in it. Honestly, if people are, I don't know what the sealed price of a Tag Bolt booster box is right now, but Tag Bolt is one of like the most amazing Japanese sets out there, especially in the Sun and Moon era. Tag Bolt's amazing, which is basically half of Team Up, I think. But yeah, Tag Bolt's incredible. But yeah, I don't know. I just don't see any modern box hitting 15K. But
Like Shug said, there's multiple base set prints. There's only one Evolving Skies.
in 20 years, though, we might get, you know,
Evolving Skies
a
2,
reprint
Electric
of
Boogaloo.
Moonbryon.
With firework hollows.
That
and all
it
that
has a
silly
different hollow
shit.
pattern, and
So let me ask that we can end it after this. I'm not a big ripper, but if you could, so you have 17.5 for a base set box, and what's an Evolving Skies? Can we just call it 1750? So would you rather rip 10 Evolving Skies booster boxes or one base set box?
one base
set box. In unison, easy. Because I'm guaranteed hollows out of that base
What about
set
in 20
box.
years? What about in 20 years?
One base set box.
A base set box.
What if Evolving Skies is 10 grand and base set only jumped to 20?
Base set box.
A base set box.
Because I also know like the hit rate. Like, think about the
Skies,
hit rate. Because what are you ripping Evolving Skies for? You're ripping it for a
and-
Moonbryon.
And the amount of boxes.
You're ripping it for a Ray. You're hoping to get one of those cards that you possibly will take 3,000 packs to get.
And
When
the amount of boxes.
For a fact, that box has 16 hollows in it, or 12 hollows that I can rip out of there.
The
And I
amount
have
of
the
boxes
opportunity
you're
to pull a
asking
party.
me to rip, I can buy a PSA 10 Moonbryon at that point because
Yeah.
it's going to be
I'm
cheap
only
because there's
arguing-
40,000 of them.
I'm only arguing like genuine like happiness.
No, yeah, base
ripping
set.
the product.
Base set.
Ripping the product.
Oh,
Okay.
base set, 100%.
Now this is the one set that everybody says objectively is the best set to rip. Crown Zenith.
Base set.
Say you can rip however many. Can't do that math in my head. 1,000 DTBs of Crown Zenith or one base set booster box.
Base
Base
set
set.
booster box.
Really?
Hold on, if it's for personal, if it's
20
for personal
years from now, you
pleasure,
can rip 1,000 ETBs for fun whenever you want for the rest of your life. You can rip one a day for the next, or however many days, and you can rip one a month for the next month for the rest of your life. You're picking
That
one
would
base
be
set
very
booster
fun.
box.
But yeah, I think I would do a base set booster box.
Just once.
I mean, if
With
I mean,
1,000
Zenith is
experiences.
juiced, so it all depends on card pricing at that point too, because it's Crown Zenith was also just a beautifully printed, quality controlled set that
The problem is
there
there is no chase in these boxes when there are so many available in PSA 10. There's just no chase. There's
What about the
nothing in
people-
Crown Zenith that I would be chasing because none of it's rare. I can buy any of it.
I agree, but that's your brain talking. I'm talking about like casual collector, casual ripper. Like you're thinking, like, okay,
casual
what can I
ripper is
do?
going to absolutely say I want to rip 10,000
But
or 1,000.
ultimately the
ETBs.
market is based around casual.
You can buy base
Rippers,
Zards too, but I can't
people.
buy PSA 10 base Zards because there's only like 100 of them.
Man,
Yeah,
I feel like I
I-
could start a YouTube channel and really get some feathers riled up because I love making these
Do it.
crazy takes. I kind of like
Yes, you can. You'll be rich by then.
I almost like genuinely believe that there will be a so-called modern box like damn near base set in 20 years.
What if there was
We'll
zero
see.
chance at pulling a
I'm
Charizard?
interested.
If
I
there
mean,
was a
Charizard-
guaranteed zero
Charizard's a
chance at
mid-
selling, okay,
It's a mid-tier
stop, Beerski.
Pokemon anyway, Java.
If there was zero chance
I'm
of pulling a
Charizard.
Charizard out of base set, then I wouldn't want to open the base set box. If it was scanned and it was like there's absolutely no Charizard, I'd be like, okay, well, no, then I'll take Crown Zenith or whatever.
So you're not ripping for the experience, you're ripping for the only
I'm ripping for the experience, but I have
possibility.
so much affinity for that Pokemon and that card personally that if there was no chance that I could rip that along with all the other cool cards, then I wouldn't want it.
trying to come up with a polarizing question. Let's say you pulled the Charizard out of base set, but you replaced it with Neogenesis Lugia. Like that type of, there's still a big hit there. It's still a crazy PSA 10 premium. Are you still picking a base set box over
If you remove the
1,000 Crown
Charizard,
Zenith? If you remove the
How
Charizard,
many
No,
Neo
wouldn't.
boxes do I get to open?
I don't know.
no,
the
it's
value
just
of
it's
the
just
Neo box.
Lugia is just replaced with a Charizard in base set.
Yeah.
Negative.
No, I wouldn't.
So you like actually care about base set Charizard that much to pull?
I
Like,
want the
that would be-
opportunity.
Dude, I was 10
to
years
pull
old when that
base set
set came
Charizard.
out. Like that, you got nostalgia factor in there too.
I never owned a base set Charizard growing up.
Like that
Never.
I think has a lot to do with it as well. Like you're also
Yeah.
talking about people who grew up with that. Like I am 36. I'm gonna be 37 this year. Like I grew up with that. That was like for me. Like Spatt, you told me how old you were. I'm not gonna tell everyone here, but you were
45.
Yeah, 45 years old. He's a decade older than me. He was not in that game yet. So like for him to like he doesn't have the same affinity for base set as like I would or someone my age would. That's why we're all base set shills and we love it as much as we do. Once you start getting into your 20s, it starts changing a little bit. You're not as much in the base set because that's not the first sets you were opening.
Yeah, I have zero.
Like
zero.
I still remember pulling my first Venusaur. I remember where I was in the house. I remember running out through my back door to get my mother to show her that I pulled a Venusaur because it was the most awesome thing ever. So like that's the kind of stuff. So that's why I would want to rip a base set box. Although I do love Neo, let me tell you, like.
Well,
If there's anything I've learned is I love the Neo sets.
The thing is, in 20 years, kids that are 10, 12 are going to be coming into money, just like we are in our early 30s.
That's
but we're gonna be 50. We're approaching retirement. You know how much fun we're gonna have ripping cards in retirement, and how much money we're gonna spend. Yeah, come on, and we're gonna want to spend on base set.
None.
I'm gonna be on Whatnot, whatever it's called. Then just swiping.
What's Grandpa doing?
He's
on Whatnot again.
Let's wind this puppy down.
Don't rip packs, children. Don't rip packs.
Yeah, don't rip.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
All right. Well, this was fun, guys. I appreciate you coming on and chatting. Of
Dude,
course.
I appreciate you having me on, man. This was great. I Spatt, check your DMs. We might be having a chat again on a live shortly.
Oh
next
shit!
Little bit. Just saying.
A beer ski. Why do I want to say beer ski palooza? It's beer o'clock.
Perhaps.
Oh, nice.
Sounds good. I'll
Thank you, Java.
Well, it was a great chat, and yeah, I'll have a new video Monday as always. And I'm gonna be doing this kind of funny thing. So on Monday, I'm not going to make videos where I do movie reviews, but I watch so many movies and I want to give my takes on movies. So on the community tab on YouTube and on my Instagram, I'll be posting little graphics of a movie that I watched, and I'll give it a score, and then I'll give a little write-up of it on Mondays. It'll be Monday movie takes. So if you want movie recommendations or whatever, you can stay tuned for those. That's going to be kind of a new little thing I'll be doing. So, yeah. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you later.